Okay, good morning, everybody. Got a full house today. Thank you for attending. I always like to start the meetings with just saying Tuesday is not the easiest time in the morning to make it to these. I really appreciate when we have a full house, when you participate here in our local government and things that we are doing of substance. I really appreciate you making time to be here and be a part of that. So we will call the meeting to order at 9:02 a.m. And if Superintendent Merrill, would you like to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? All right, please stand. To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Thank you. All right, we're going to begin our meeting with oral communications. Oral communications is the time for any member of the public to be able to address the board on anything that is not on the agenda. So if you're here for one of the items on the agenda, that will happen at that item. This is for any general comments not on the agenda. You'll have 3 minutes to be able to address the board. At 1 minute, you'll have a beep letting you know that you have 1 minute. And with that, we'll open up oral communications. Mike, good morning.
Good morning. Morning. As most of you know, my name is Mike DeAnda. I'm a union business rep for Operating Engineers, Local 3 Union. And the last time I spoke with you guys, I spoke about the labor negotiations and the wages and the healthcare. Today, I'd like to talk to you about the working conditions. I've had a lot of response back from the employees, members and non-members. And going back the last couple of years, you've had several vacancies, multiple vacancies over the years have not been filled, and you guys laid off this year. And that has compounded the workload for the existing employees. They have told me they're working 2, 3, and sometimes even 4 times the caseload. This cannot be sustained. It just cannot be. There are departments, believe it or not, that have no supervisors and no leads. So a lot of these employees are working out of class. And in the meantime, there are threats of discipline, PIPs, performance improvement plans, and productivity expectations. I mean, imagine that. You're doing a workload of 2, 3, or 4 people, and then there's some threats of discipline. The last 3 years, there have been no raises for these 2 bargaining units that we represent, no increases in health care over the last 3 and 4 years, respectively. This has pushed your employees into poverty. They are on welfare, they're on subsidized health care, they are participating in food banks and the county's own pantries. They're ashamed and they're embarrassed to even talk to me about it. You have a crisis on your hands and you need to act now. Some of the comments from your employees I'd like to share with you. A lot of them I cannot say, but I want to give you 2 comments. Employees feel like they're being left behind enemy lines and the board is not coming to help. And another analogy is the employees have a life-threatening injury, they're bleeding to death, the board knows how to help them, and they refuse to. As a board, you guys were elected to be the leaders and problem solvers of this county, and I ask you to put these 2 bargaining units as a priority. When you go into closed session today, do not come out of this session until you have a resolution for this crisis. We are seeking fair wages, affordable health care, and fair and respectable working conditions. And in closing, and I rarely do this, I'm asking the citizens to get involved, to get a hold of each of you in your areas and ask you hard questions on why your employees are in poverty and haven't had raises in 3 and 4 years. So I respectfully appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you. And just for clarity there with council and CAO, that would be with an item that we have on the agenda. I believe in our agenda review, we are pulling correct item 16. So any communications on bargaining would be fine for oral communications right now and not have to wait till later. Great. Good morning.
Good morning, Supervisors. My name is Elaine Hagan. I live in Tuolumne. I hadn't really planned on speaking on this, so I don't have extensive notes. My husband and I just returned from a 6-month. Mr. Kirk, could you do me the favor of listening to me? I get 3 minutes to speak to you. Thank you. My husband and I just returned from an extensive 6-month trip across the country. We visited multiple states. We visited multiple provinces in Canada. I'm a chatty person. I talk to people. We visited multiple stores and small businesses, national parks, state parks. We talked to literally hundreds, if not thousands of people. My concern is something I brought to you before. I'm very concerned about the lack of tourism that has happened in the last year coming to our county and the lack of funds that it's going to bring. We traveled to Canada and spent several months in Canada in multiple provinces and talked to many, many, many people who said, we're not coming to the US. It's the tariffs, it's the fear of crossing the border. We don't want to support the current administration. Numerous people said that they were traveling overseas. A lot of Canadians said they were traveling to Canada instead of coming to Yosemite. They all were very familiar with the area that we lived in. And I'm very concerned as what's going to happen to us if the current administration, if we can't solve the problems. This was before some of the tariffs. This was after some of the tariffs. This was before some of the government shutdowns. We need to solve this problem. And I'm wondering if you guys have any thoughts or suggestions on how we can do that. It was really disconcerting to talk to small businesses. We went to one in Burlington, Vermont, and we stopped there in May and he was open, and we stopped there in September and he was closed. And he just happened to be there cleaning out the store. And he said he'd gone broke, that this was a business, that he was a refugee, that he'd worked his entire life 24/7, and people are losing businesses. People are not traveling. They can't afford it. They're scared. And I'm wondering if you guys have any concrete suggestions on what to do. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Good morning.
I work at public health, but I'm here on my own time. I'm here to tell you how much I love my job. I thought that might be a fun way to start the morning. I love the mission, I love the values, and I love the vision at public health, and I work hard to promote them every day. I find the work engaging and fulfilling, and I love serving my community, the people of Tuolumne County, through my work. But I need your help to keep working for Tuolumne County. All county employees need your help. We need help keeping up with the rising cost of living. We need help keeping up with the rising cost of health insurance. Please, we need a fair contract that includes fair compensation. The employees of Tuolumne County need your help. So I'm standing here before you to ask for that help. Please help the hard-working county employees who love their jobs just like me. Please help us keep our jobs by providing us with fair compensation and benefits. Please help our community grow with dedicated employees who are committed to making Tuolumne County a healthy and thriving place to live and work. Please help us. We need it.
Thank you. Good morning.
I come before this board as an employee, but off the clock. I'm also a constituent. I need to address the lack of care and support given to the employees in the OE3 and healthcare unit. We are your boots on the ground employees, the ones that create the backbone of the county structure. Much like the buildings in this county structure, we are falling apart. We have been ignored, used, and lacked care and maintenance. The office building I work in has many state reports discussing the toxic plume that our building has. One report I remember said that any woman of childbearing age should not work in that building. Don't worry though, they installed fans to blow it out. For years they have put a tank in my office to test this air continually. Much like our structures, the employees of this county are crumbling. They are neglected and used to the fullest capacity and beyond. Instead of taking care of them, you keep expecting more with less. Recently, my office was given new carpet. Toxic environment be damned, carpet will make that look better. It doesn't matter that we have no housekeeping to vacuum or take out our trash. This building asked for $50,000 to update a break room, and they deserve that, we all do. However, I work where we don't even have lukewarm water to wash our hands in the bathroom, much less wash our lunch dishes in the kitchen. We take those home dirty. The old courthouse, we have no HVAC, but let's spend millions so that we have an elevator in it. I know the person that pushed that is no longer in the county. Instead of researching the project, we have someone to blame when it goes wrong. That seems to be a trend. Our board makes the final decision, but our coworkers are the scapegoats. There's a lack of information and accountability. I say this because I keep hearing that fire and law enforcement are what our constituents want. That is because all the other services are a given. No one asks you for more tax collectors, auditors, or administration. People to give permitting, run the libraries, get more investigators. I love that. Get more investigators. But wait, you forgot the ripple effect. With more law enforcement comes more crime reports. That means more people to work. You need people at the jail, law clerks at the DA, and the public defender, more attorneys, victim witness advocates, all the supervisors and department heads. Then you have housekeeping, maintenance, let's not forget the roads, and make sure the people that maintain those, and the safety of the roads, the plows in the winter, and of course, animal control to take care of animals on the loose or dead animals to clean up. I could keep going, but you get the point. We are losing our coworkers, the ones we have teamed up with to hold it all together. The seams of our tattered, used, and repeatedly patched and mended quilt is truly disintegrating. There are fewer of us to hold the pieces together and even less of us that know how to hold it together. We are losing the experience and wisdom that we have cultivated and nurtured, and other counties and businesses are profiting from those losses. We must know that it costs more to keep hiring new and inexperienced people. The amount of training that must be done not only costs the veteran workers their productivity, but the fixes and mistakes are pricey also. The recruitment, vetting, onboarding, all of the payroll, paperwork, that's what our coworkers do. It's insurmountable, yet it could be avoided if you just valued your loyal staff. Treat us fairly when it comes to wages.
Thank
Keep
you.
us off public assistance.
Good morning.
Good morning. Eileen Mannix, President of Twain Harte Community Service District, Vice President of all the CSDs in the county. I'm here because I sympathize with the board in that it's very hard when you get public comments, especially if they're personal and you feel it's a personal attack. I want to remind you that council last meeting tried to warn you that it is a violation to address any comments, not just at public comment period, but in your board reports. Please, 3 of you violated that. In your board reports, you cannot address the comments that are made at this time. Council tried to warn you, please do not keep talking. Keep it to your reports. Thank you.
Thank you.
Morning.
Good morning.
I'm Laurel McDonald. Some of you may have read the letter that I wrote. I know at least one of you did. I work at the Department of Social Services in eligibility. We provide cash, food, and healthcare assistance, among other things, to the residents of Tuolumne County. So, of course, I do echo what the previous employees have said. We currently have 9 vacancies. We're not able to keep employees due to the wages being so low, in some cases lower than McDonald's. We have employees who are receiving public assistance or working 2 or more jobs to avoid being homeless. I would like to remind the board that county employees have not had a cost of living pay increase in over 3 years. However, the cost of living has increased by about 20%. My health insurance premium is increasing by $280 in January, and it's increasing even more for employees with children, doubling in costs for 2 family members or more. That's for the least expensive plan with a $3,000 deductible. So for this reason, some employees are ignoring their health because it's just too expensive and we can't afford to pay that $3,000 every year on our incomes. Many of us are taking home less pay now than we did 3 years ago. We're told that money cannot be found in the county budget to take care of and appreciate employees, yet employees are expected to somehow find money in their already depleted budgets to pay the increased health insurance costs. It seems as though money is somehow found when it's needed for new road equipment, elevators for empty buildings, or some other special project or unnecessary promotion. Electricity prices have more than doubled, if not tripled. The cost of propane has doubled, as you know. And the cost of groceries has skyrocketed. Hamburgers like $8 to $10 a pound. I'm sure you know this if you go to the grocery store. And as you know, homeowners insurance in this area has tripled or quadrupled, increasing from $1,500 a year to over $7,000 a year, or even more in some cases. Some of us are on the verge of losing our homes because we cannot afford to pay these prices. We're not asking to be able to pay someone else to clean our homes or to afford lavish, luxurious lifestyles. We clean our own homes and live paycheck to paycheck. We're asking to be able to put food on our tables and keep our lights on, pay our monthly rent or mortgage and our insurance bills, and put gas in our car so we can continue to get to work and serve our community. Please find a place in the budget for the employees that serve our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning, I think. The dump is in full action again. It's being operated as a disposal site for concrete grinding at waste management. So it gets dumped right next to people's houses. This particular one with a lady who's not well. She has a blood clot in her lung. It's not a good idea to do this. It's not even healthy for healthy people, let alone someone who is not in good shape. Since we've been dealing with this, we've constantly been told that this is a legal operation. It's legal technically because the county can override anything it wants and it, say this is our number one priority. We really would like to emphasize that the law is also an option to enforce to keep us safe, because it really is not appropriate to override, work around, rewrite, interpret, use not very discretionary decisions to do harm to people's health and safety, especially to the neighborhoods of Rugged Trail Road, Industry Way, and Lambert Lake Estates. It's just not good. We've had to suffer through a lot for the past 4 years, and it's still there. So this is an example of the point of view. This was written by county council. Code compliance and various other departments have received and investigated your concerns regarding the activities at 18955 Industry Way and have not found any unresolved code violations at this time. The county will continue to receive any complaints from you and consider whether any new allegations warrant additional investigation or enforcement action. Moreover, the county's enforcement of this ordinance code is a discretionary, non-mandatory action. So keeping us safe, keeping us healthy, enforcing the law is optional. And clearly the option to not enforce has been the favorite way to go. And it continues that way. Right now, when I called up about the dumping in the disposal facility, she wants me to call it a disposal facility. She stated that, she asked me things about regulations about the amount he was dumping. It's not even a licensed disposal facility. Why are we even doing that? It's running on a ministerial building permit, which is really only a permit to put a building in. And because it's ministerial, it's not really open to discretionary judgment or options, but he's running developing a whole entire disposal on this permit. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. And not the interview, there was a speaker formerly too that mentioned about the offices with the fans and the fumes. I had slipped my mind for a moment, but I was hoping that speaker could speak with, I believe we have Liz Peterson in the back there, or a member of our admin staff to detail that. So if you don't mind, please, we have a staff member in the back that could be able to take down those complaints and concerns. Please go ahead.
Okay, good morning.
Morning.
Yesterday, I've got to call them perps, ground a load of old concrete at Camage, brought it, dumped it. A ginormous cloud of silica dust arose and went all over our neighborhood. Of course, a ministerial permit is for grading about 10% of a property, having the building pad, the driveway, a reasonable thing resulting in a building or a couple of buildings, dressing up a landscape, and the landscape a little bit modified, dressing up the buildings, and the whole thing boosting property values or maintaining them nearby instead of destroying them. Now, these people got their grading permit revoked some years back. They asked the CDD, who was there, how can they continue using their dump? And they got this ministerial permit and used it to go around, have excavated, graded, and cut and filled the whole parcel, including what was a seasonal creek. And a little story here. My neighbor had visitors from the UAE, and the guy said, "What is that?" And she said, "A dump." And he was just gobsmacked because the Arab Emirates do not have toxic waste dumps by people's houses, even those of the poor. And I just don't know if anyone in this room can tell me what country I'm living in, that I don't have property values or rights to exist happily on my property, and having a dump favored and coddled instead of my rights being anywhere at all, as if I'm some lower animal that is disposable. So for now, thank you.
Thank you. And just a note too, if everybody could please check, make sure your cell phones are on silent as well. I did so at the beginning of the meeting too. Please come forward. Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Jennifer Parks. I actually work for Tuolumne County Social Services. I remember back in 2020 when I got hired on as an office assistant working for the county, I remember calling up my parents and my best friend telling her how proud I was I finally had a big girl job. I had benefits. I thought everything was going to be great. Now I'm married. I have a small child. And currently, my husband and I have to work opposite schedules just so we can take care of our child because we can't afford childcare, let alone the cost of everything else going on in life. So it's rough. I love the job. I love doing what I do. I love helping everybody that comes into that office. It's my calling to be able to help people. And I wouldn't change it for anything. But at the same time, I do wish that I can be excited that I have my big girl job now. Like, I wish there was fair wages. I wish we can afford the health care that we have, and it's feasibly not possible. I wish being able to afford childcare so my husband and I can actually have some time together. We can have where he can sleep at a normal time instead of taking 2-hour naps here and there when our son naps. It's not fair. We make too much to qualify for any health insurance or childcare, but we don't make enough to pay for it for ourselves. And I think it's unfair for the people who do have to work and talking about getting like a second job or third job just to be able to afford what's going on with this county. We both love the county. We both recently just moved back. We want to do what we can to help out, and it's unfeasible at this time. So I just do ask for your guys' consideration as far as fair wages and healthcare and stuff.
Great, thank you. Right, do we have additional oral communications to the board? And quickly before that, can we check, make sure that the transmission is all good online? Okay, looks good. Please continue. Good morning.
Birth control really screws up female brains, by the way. Every single one of you needs to make sure that your loved ones are not on birth control. It increases depression, anxiety, and suicidal ideation. Birth control is the #1 prescribed medication for young ladies under the age of 25. It's awful, it's terrible, and it creates very angry and bitter young ladies and young women. Women should have children, not careers. The
Sir,
Democrats want to destroy the country.
Sorry,
we
sir.
know this.
Not to interrupt, is this related to item 13?
I don't think so.
Okay.
The Democrats want to destroy the country. We know this. They want to see America completely obliterated, the Constitution shredded, and remade in their own San Francisco, Brooklyn, Malibu, Manhattan image, where there is no cultural identity, where you live in sexual anarchy, where private property is a thing of the past, and the ruling class controls everything. If I see a black pilot, I'm going to be like, boy, I hope he's qualified. Prowling blacks go around for fun to go target white people. That's a fact. You can see the white population collapse in LA. That's intentional. They've wanted it that way. Black people were better off in slavery and subjugation before the 1940s. It was bad, it was evil, but they committed less crimes.
Excuse me, point of order. Sorry, sir, but where are we going with this? Right now, you're just quoting. Is there a?
Who am I quoting?
No, I know exactly who you're quoting. I'm
Oh,
just
so you're
asking-
familiar
Absolutely.
with some of the rhetoric that Charlie Kirk
So are you
said.
referring to?
I'll save my comments for later then.
So you, there you go. Do your job.
Thank you. And respecting that too, folks are able to make comments at the dais, and I will ask if it is something that is on the agenda or not. Somebody says that it is not on the agenda and there is nothing objectively specific, that would be the ruling there to allow it to continue. Though I do appreciate, please, we want to make sure that we're not in a spot where you want to provide comment twice. Everybody has the ability to comment once per item. We want to keep that fair. This is meant for anything that's not on the agenda. So thank you. I appreciate with that. Do we have any additional oral communications? Going once, going twice. Okay. We'll be closing oral communications and bringing it back to the board. And again, thank you everybody for coming by, speaking to your board, and being able to provide comment. Okay, we'll move into staff reports. All right, if any members of the staff would like to provide a report, please come forward.
Morning.
Good morning. And
My name is Sue Abernathy. I'm a public health nurse with Tuolumne County Public Health Department. I'm here to talk about California Children Lead Poisoning Prevention Week, which is being observed statewide this week from October 19th through 25th. It's a week-long information campaign about childhood lead poisoning issues. This year's theme will focus as nutrition as prevention. We are collaborating with local community partners and media outlets to inform parents and caregivers of the importance of eating healthy foods to prevent and mitigate the impact of lead poisoning and encourage parents and caregivers to ask their healthcare providers about lead poisoning. Lead poisoning can permanently impair a child's intellectual and social development. Many children who are at risk have not been tested for lead. Lead can be found in paint, dust, and soil in homes built before 1978, in areas with busy roadways or industrial sites. Additionally, common household items such as imported foods and spices, consumer products such as toys, jewelry, and traditional remedies can contain lead and threaten the health of children. There's no known safe level of lead, safe lead level. During Lead Prevention Week, look for ads in local media on Tuolumne County Public Health social media, and at our local movie theater. Also, there will be informational webinar sessions this week about preventing lead exposure. All sessions are free and open to the public. Handouts on nutrition and prevention, baby food safety, urban gardening, getting your child tested for lead, and webinar information are available on the back table of the room and public health, and also to all of you guys. And thank you for your time and have a great day.
thank you. Good morning.
Good morning, Debbie Reagan, Solid Waste Director for Tuolumne County. I have 2 items today. One of them is that City of Sonora is changing their franchise waste hauler as of November 1st, as many of you know. We did work with them because this would affect county occupied properties within the city limits if we were to have to change a waste provider off of waste management. And it would have been a cost to us to the tune of $60,000 to $70,000 per year. The city graciously worked with us. The county occupied properties, so owned or leased, are going to continue to have their waste services provided by Cal Sierra Disposal. That means that the bins shouldn't change. It should be the same standard of service. That has been incorporated into the franchise agreement at the city. This is just a report to you, let you know that that work is done. I feel good about that. We will evaluate the budget going forward as the city waste that's being collected now by Cal Waste Recovery will be going out of county and not through the Cal Sierra transfer station. That means that we will not be collecting integrated waste management fees on that. Quantities are unknown. I just want to reiterate that city residents who self-haul are still welcome to come to the Cal Sierra transfer station and deposit their trash and recyclables there. There's no change in that to the residents who self-haul. Beyond that, we're doing something for the first time this year in Public Works Solid Waste Division. America Recycles Day is a national day. It's held on November 15th. This year we're lucky it's a Saturday. And we are hosting a drive-through recycling event at the Motherlode Fairgrounds. So again, that's Saturday. It'll be from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. We'll have 2 loops. One of the loops is for household hazardous waste. No appointment needed. The other loop will be for recyclables such as textiles. Salvation Army is partnering with us. The Greater Valley Conservation Corps will be doing e-waste. We will have bins out there from Waste Management for mixed recycling and cardboard. So, and some scrap metal, but please, no Freon units, no refrigerators. The list of what we do and do not accept is on this flyer. I've left some at the back. It's on our website. And we will have some promotion out there for radio and newspaper ads as well. That's my updates for today. Thank you so much.
Good, thank you. Additional staff reports. Sheriff, good morning.
Good morning, Chair, Board, County Administration. It has been a very busy last couple of weeks, and before I get into this staff report, I just want to say that how grateful I am that we have this forum and that people can come up and voice their opinions. Or it is that speech that is unpopular that requires the most protection. With that being said, in the last few weeks, we've had the honor of taking place and participating in some very special ceremonies. One was a new swearing in of patrol deputies, 1 patrol deputy that we have and 3 custody deputies and 1 dispatcher. This gets us as close as we've ever been in the last 20 years to being fully staffed. And I will add that that is existing positions that the people of Tuolumne County already own. We want to make it clear right now because we've heard a lot of comments about labor, about expanding services, and that is exactly why we are not expanding staff with some of this special department revenue, but we are getting close to being fully staffed. A centenarian celebration luncheon took place yesterday, and I think what an honor it is to be in the presence of people who have had the courage to live on this planet for 100+ years. We were able, my command staff accompanied me with the privilege of being able to serve a meal, have conversations with folks who are looking through a different lens than we are on the day-to-day basis, and I am grateful for that courage. We also this weekend got to recognize our community service unit. For those of you that are familiar with our community service unit, it fluctuates with approximately 35 to 40 members. And I want to say that the statistics that were given out were approximately 16,000 hours of this last year that were donated by a variety of these community service members. And just to put that into perspective, that's between 8 and 10 deputy sheriffs that would have to fulfill that labor, because they handle everything from traffic control, road closure points, subpoena services, which when I first joined the Tuolumne County Sheriff's Office, in conjunction with working a beat, I had a stack of subpoenas that I also had to go out and serve. So the amount of effort that they put in and the time that they dedicate to this community is unmatched and second to none. I would like to throw a special recognition out to Mr. Baca, who is 91 years old and has been serving the community service unit for 33 years. I am so, yes, right, whoever said that in the back. Again, I'm so grateful for that service, and that is just one individual who received the highest recognition at the last ceremony. And so, again, that's not to marginalize any of the others. We have outstanding members of our community service unit that by far and large, we could not do what we do without them. I attended Supervisor Ryan Campbell's town hall the other day at Soulsbyville. Thank you for having that. Got to highlight some special projects. We sent the first radio transmission from the new comm center out last week. And so that is just round one of testing. It's not completed yet, but that is a milestone in bringing this project to fruition. I can't thank enough our partners with information technology, facilities, and everybody that's made it possible, our county administration, the board support, of course. It's through all those shared efforts is why we are bringing the sustainable 911 infrastructure to Tuolumne County. I got to take a tour of Mountain High High School in Pinecrest last week also, and got to talk with some of the students and staff up there. I think we successfully recruited maybe 2 explorers to come into our program. And so that was outstanding, because I'm ashamed to admit that I had never actually been inside the educational facility, but they have a really nice program that's being run for our upper 108 corridor children, high school age kids. I had the honor and the privilege to be invited to speak about the Constitution to one of our local scout packs. The Constitution talk was specific about the United States Constitution, the Constitution of the State of California, the Articles, the Bill of Rights, preamble, specific meaning, and also what it means as a forefront, not just as the supreme law of the land, but a foundation for in which all government functions are supposed to follow. I also had the luxury of participating in the Ridgewood Homeowners Association fall meeting, where they even let me pull the tickets out and read the raffle prizes. I pulled 2 tickets out that were the same winner, and I didn't know that I was going to make it out alive, so it's a good thing. It ended up being a successful outcome. We got to talk about a lot of things, from crime trends, traffic, wildfire land management, and other things associated with our justice-involved work crew folks. So again, I'd like to also throw a special thank you to all of the public safety partners that were present for Saturday. We had a No Kings rally that was outside in our courthouse park, and it was, like, by and large, most of the events very uneventful. And I'm just so grateful that we can create that space where everybody can come together safely and share those thoughts and ideas. And as I started this update was, again, we need to make sure that the speech that may or may not be popular to us or to others is equally protected regardless of the Constitution. Moving on to the operational tempo, and I will make this quick. Within the last month, we've had an attempted murder that our office responded to initially and then ended up calling out detectives. There was 15 units at any one given time assigned to that. 60 hours of staff time went into that, 11 reports, 3 search warrants, and 12 interviews conducted. An assault with a deadly weapon where 10 units essentially were assigned to it. That's a combination of patrol and detective work. 5 hours of total on-scene time, 14 reports, and 2 warrants were authored. There were several cases that rise to this magnitude, including another attempted murder. And the reason why I'm summarizing this is because it's important that we know that this is a very strong team that we are building within your sheriff's office. No any one person does it alone. So any one first direct response, whether it's 911 call, whether it's a patrol call that comes up as one thing and ends up being another, this team cannot function without each other. And that's for every deputy sheriff, every custody deputy, support staff, ranging from narcotics investigations and search warrants that we kick in where we seize items of narcotics and other illegal items. Excuse me. I want to highlight one specific case that TNT had just last week where they seized a 1/4 pound of fentanyl out of our community. That's a 1/4 pound of uncut fentanyl. And anybody that's familiar with how toxic this substance is, this is uncut material that was in process of being manufactured for distribution. We'll be conducting a press release on that. In conjunction with that 1/4 pound of fentanyl, there was another 80 grams, I believe, of heroin and another amount of methamphetamine that was also seized, all consistent with sales. And I believe the last report I heard was there was a few $1,000s worth of cash, further indicating sales. These are things that are real things that are happening in our community, and I just wanted the board to be aware and reflect on this as a point of victory that we are addressing these issues head on. Our response times are perfect when it comes to how the initial response comes down to calling out detectives, to calling out TNT. And I know perfect offers a lot of absolution, but I can tell you when you're coming from a place where in the last 5 years, you're running 30 vacancies and there's times where you have to juggle a priority call for service, boy, this feels a lot like perfect right now. And that's a testament to the investments that this board has made, a testament to my very talented command staff for being as strategic as possible and doing as much as we can with what we have before we ever come asking for more. And I just want to extend my sincerest gratitude to the whole team as a county. So thank you.
Sheriff, thank you. Do we have additional staff reports? Round going once, going twice. All right, so with that, we will close staff reports. Thank you, everybody coming up, being able to give us an update. That is a huge help in between our more formal meetings. That will move into our board reports. Any member of the board would like to kick us off? Do we want to move beyond board reports? We can skip it for this meeting if we don't have any updates. All right, seeing none, we'll skip board reports and move into the consent calendar. And we didn't have the confirmation of the agenda. I just want to check with staff. Have any items been removed from the consent calendar or any updates? Okay. The agenda is as it's set. With that, do we have any board member requests to pull items off of the consent calendar? Okay, comment. All right, seeing none, if the clerk can read the consent calendar.
Item 1, approving the minutes of the September 23, 2025 and October 7, 2025 special and regular meetings. Item number 2, approving the discharge of accountability for 142 accounts totaling $298,000 and $64.35 in the Ambulance Enterprise Fund in accordance with Government Code Section 25259. Item 3, accepting notice of completion for the High Friction Surface Treatment Project, contract number 1781, and authorizing the chair to sign the notice. Item number 4, approving amendment number 2 to the agreement with Summit Food Services to provide food and commissary services to the Dombacher Detention Center and Juvenile Hall, extending the term and increasing the rates, and authorizing the county administrative officer to sign all related documents. This is included in the fiscal year 25-26 adopted budget. Accepting the donation of a Prinoth Trooper Snow Groomer from PG&E Corporation, transferring to the Tuolumne County Sheriff's Office through the PG&E Corporation Surplus Equipment Donation Program at no cost. Item number 6, rescinding Resolution 56-25 and adopting Resolution 88-25, declaring a .07 acre parcel of unimproved real property located at South Fork Road and Hepler Drive in Twainhart, California. APN 040-130-002-000, surplus property, authorizing its sale to Tuolumne Utilities District and declaring the property is exempt from the provisions of the Surplus Land Act and categorically exempt from review under Section 15312 of the California Environmental Quality Act, because the sale of surplus government property that is not located in an area of statewide, regional, or area-wide significance is exempt as described in Section 15206B4 of the state CEQA guidelines. None of the exceptions to the categorical exemptions apply to the project. Item 7, adopting Resolution 89-25, authorizing an application and signature delegation to the County Administrative Officer for the California Office of Emergency Services, Child Advocacy Centers, KC program request for proposal and all related documents. Item number 8, accepting the notice of cessation for the Twainhart Storm Drain Rehabilitation Project, contract number 1749, and authorizing the chair to sign the notice. Item number 9, adopting Resolution 90-25, appointing the Public Works Director as a designated representative to adopt plans, specifications, and working details and solicit for bids for the Phase 2 debris removal for the TCU September Lightning Complex debris and hazard tree removal operation. And number 10, approving the appointment of Gary Whitson to the Tuolumne County Resource Conservation District Board of Directors for a term to expire October 21, 2029.
Okay, thank you. Another impressive performance on a very long consent calendar. Doing a great job. With that, we'll bring it to the board for any comments. We have Supervisor Campbell.
Yeah, I just wanted to highlight for my colleagues and for the public, the results of the high friction surface treatments on O'Burns Ferry Road, Salisburyville, and, what was the other one we did? O'Burns Ferry Road. So it's basically this, it's high friction treatment, so it's a different kind of road surface that allows you to make corners in slippery weather. I think it's been received really well in the community. I actually drove on each of these in rainy conditions, and the rain just kind of disappears into the road. It's really effective for what it does. I don't exactly know how much more it is. I mean, it looks like it's about 9% more expensive than traditional road surface treatments, but I think it's really effective for these areas. So I'd like to look at doing more high friction treatments in the future in higher elevations, because I think this is a really good application for areas where we get snow, where we get sleet, where we get really slippery road conditions. So we did this as kind of a test, and it seems to be working really well. And I think it's pretty popular in the communities that have it. So just wanted to highlight that and thank our Public Works for working out the contract.
Great. Supervisor Holland.
Yeah, I just want to thank Gary for stepping up to join the resource board and donate your time. Thank you.
Okay. Look to any other comments. Supervisor Griefer.
Thank you. Yeah, I was going to echo what Supervisor Campbell said about the high friction service. You know, there's a spot on the 2 lanes called the Rock Shop area, which the Highway Patrol has taken, including myself, several collisions because, like you said, the roadway just does get wet and it slides and people crash at that spot. So I know the partnership between Caltrans as well as the Highway Patrol as well as the county to making sure that we have roadways that are safer, because we're using this as very valuable and it will save lives in the future. So I support exactly what you're saying. Additionally, Gary, you know, like it takes time to volunteer. We appreciate it. Thanks. And to all of the, obviously the unsung heroes of the rest of the consent calendar, all the work that everybody's does. I really appreciate everything that the staff is doing as well as the volunteers in our community. Thank you.
Supervisor Kirk.
Yeah, excuse me. If you look at number 2, I'm not going to pull it, but I did have some concerns regarding the amount of money that I felt was potentially being left on the table. So thank you, staff, Michelle Clark, for getting back to me. We've been going back and forth with some emails, and it sounds like there's some things that have course corrected so that hopefully we don't have these gaps moving forward. So thank you for that. For those of you who don't know, a lot of times these consent items, even though they're on here, there's still a lot of back and forth discussions to flush some things out. So, and then the last thing I want to thank is item number 5, PG&E for donating that groomer to the Sheriff's Department. District 3, we get a lot of folks who get lost or issues happen. I don't know if folks remember, but I think 5 or 6 years ago, we actually had somebody almost pass away in Long Barn because of the amount of snow. They were trapped in their house for a few days. So having equipment like this is vital for the residents to be able to get in and access folks when there are problems, especially during the winter. So thank you, PG&E and the sheriff, for working together on that.
Okay. And my comments echo the comments on the high friction surface treatment. There's some areas, Horseshoe Bend in particular in Columbia, even though there's lower number of cars going off to the side, people not paying attention, it's a really great tool. It's a nice segment, very targeted solution to make sure somebody might not be taking it with as much care as they need, has the maximum traction for that. And hopefully no more cars will end up in one of my constituents' yards there. He lets me know on each one, and I'm happy we're finally able to get that going. So with that, we'll open up public comment. Again, this is on the consent calendar. This is for items 1 through 10. If there are any comments, please come forward. Good morning.
Good morning, gentlemen. My name is Sharon Marovich. I'm representing the Tuolumne Heritage Committee. And before I get into item 9, which is the one I'd like to speak on, I'd like to thank the board for your appointments to the Historic Preservation Review Commission. We are now completely, all the positions are full. As you know, our commission requires that the members have certain backgrounds related to history and historic preservation. And so now we have an architect, We have a retired CDD member. We have an architectural historian, a historian, and an archaeologist. So this is the kind of expertise that we have that assists the county in dealing with heritage resources. On item 9, I'm particularly want to make the point about plans, specifications, and working details for the phase 2 debris removal. Now, I'm assuming that includes Chinese camp. There's debris and then there's debris. And what the Tuolumne Heritage Committee is concerned about are those materials such as the old bricks, the iron doors, perhaps corrugated metal and stones that might have been shaped for walls. We ask that those be set aside, not taken to the dump, and be able to possibly be used again by people who own property in Chinese camp, or perhaps an area where there could be some interpretation of what Chinese camp history. And so if you could give some thought to building in to whatever contracts that you might execute, that special care is taken for building materials and artifacts that are still there. Dory gave a wonderful presentation to our last commission meeting, and she indicated there has been some looting. So there is some valuable stuff out there that is able to be reused in a manner that pays tribute to that wonderful old town. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you. Welcome back.
Thank you. Dave Vasquez, Sheriff of Tuolumne County. Just a quick point of gratitude regarding the donation from PG&E. I'd like to have some special recognition for Mr. Mark Banks and Miss Lee Spokus of the search and rescue team and all of the search and rescue volunteers. Just a quick reminder that those folks are volunteers that dedicate volunteer hours and time out of their busy schedules to help others in need. So again, thank you to the whole team, to our SAR liaisons and Lieutenant Ostoich for helping spearhead the administrative process to bring this piece of equipment to Tuolumne County. Undoubtedly, this will save lives. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, do we have additional comment on our consent calendar? All right, seeing none, we will close that and bring it back to the board. I'll be looking for a motion to approve.
Chair, I'll move to approve the consent, and I also want to echo the comments about the equipment that donation from PG&E. They've been stepping up a lot in the past couple of years with generators and equipment and services for the sheriff. So just to highlight that and let the public know that they're pitching in. So.
All right, looking for a second.
I'll second.
All right, we have a first by Supervisor Campbell, a second by Supervisor Holland. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining. All right, the consent calendar passes unanimously. Now moving on to item number 11, if the clerk can read the item.
Presentation of service award to dispatcher Lisa Oler for her 25 years of dedicated service.
Welcome back.
Thank you again. For the record, Dave Vasquez, Sheriff of Tuolumne County. I'm going to do this a little bit different now. I'm going to hang on to this award because the last time I gave it out first, I couldn't chase the deputy fast enough out the door and we didn't get a chance to say nice things and embarrass him appropriately. So I'm going to hang on to this first. Where is Miss Lisa? Not going to get off that light. If you could please come up here with me. Obviously, I submitted a board memo to make sure that we could allot this time to recognize 25 years of service for Miss Lisa Oler. And that memo does not in any way encapsulize what Lisa means to the sheriff's office, and I told her that I'd bring her up here and embarrass her. And because for this is very important to me. It's a very special award. 25 years. It's one thing to donate money. It's one thing to serve in all these other capacities and volunteer, but dispatch and dedicating 25 years of your life to receiving our people's calls in crisis, and not just any crisis, but quite possibly the worst days of their lives. And that is a huge burden to shoulder that only a dispatcher where in deputy sheriffs are lucky, we get absolution. We get to see what the outcome looks like. Dispatchers don't always have that. At some point they disconnect and the incident continues. When I think of Lisa, I try to create a list of the different describing words, and one is a leader, a mentor, a coach, and a gatekeeper. You know, that last one has meaning because Lisa is currently serving as one of our lead dispatchers, and she is entrusted with all of our new trainees. And everybody always says, if they can pass Lisa's test, they'll be just fine, right? And that's because you bring a careful balance that's based on consequential knowledge, because you know just how important it is to take that call and return that radio traffic to that deputy sheriff or that other professional safety partner that's out there. You know that the stakes are high and that you can point that high-powered perception at any one of our candidates and say, this person can do the job or they can't. And she does that not just from her professional experience, but with her heart. This is a woman who has dedicated so much time, energy, and effort to our safety network. I can't possibly express the gratitude. On a personal note, both of my daughters, my oldest and my youngest, have blankets that were handmade, as like most deputy sheriffs who fell within that certain timeline in our office do, that were all handmade by Lisa and custom made for kids, because that's just who she is. A lot of people look at you, not just in dispatching, but deputy sheriffs. And I can speak personally that when I arrived here, that the acknowledgement 10-4 over the radio can mean a lot of things. It can mean, I acknowledge your traffic and yes, proceed, or it could mean 10-4, like with a question mark at the end of it, meaning, are you sure you want to do that? Or is that the right, because the amount of wisdom that comes out of dispatch, it touches all of us. That where you could tell when you're brand new as a deputy sheriff and you are just trying to figure out what kind of cop you want to be, where does everybody go to gather that wisdom? They go to dispatch and they learn from those that have gone before us. And so I just want to say on behalf of a grateful community for everything that you've brought to the table and continue to do so, here's to another 25 years with the Tuolumne County Sheriff's Office. I am grateful for you. I am better for knowing you and for working with you. So thank you so much. With the start date of October 22nd, 2000, becoming a lead dispatcher in 2010, Lisa holds an intermediate, advanced, and supervisory post certificate, and we are now issuing her 25-year plaque. At this point, please, board chair or whoever wants to come down, and then we'll open it up for board discussion, however you'd like to do that first.
I think that's a great plan.
All right.
All right, Sheriff.
Expensive plank.
They're gonna have unless you want to give a speech. Okay.
I think that's part of the routine, right? They have to give a speech. All right, well, we'll fill in best as we can and bring it back to the board for comments. Again, this is a presentation item. We'll be doing comments and then I think a final round of applause on that. Supervisor Kirk, you made the most enthusiastic eye contact
Thanks. Thank you for your service. I've had a few bad days where I've had to call 911, and working in probation, working in corrections, when stuff hits the fans, the calm, cool, collected voices always prevail, and they're always very appreciative. So thank you for what you do. I don't know how you can do it for 25 years and how you're going to do it for 25 more years, but I wish you all the best and thank you for your service.
Supervisor Griefer?
No, thank you. Well, having been worked with you as an officer, you know, and because where my area was so remote, at times I would have to call in, and it would usually be, you know, one of you or your staff. Having that calm voice when it's going bad, or I cannot express how glad I am that you've been on the radio and how much you are a true shining star of your profession and of the sheriff's department. As you know, it might be 25 years on paper, but it's 75 years in dog years, right? I mean, it's a lot of work, and I totally appreciate your comment about it's daylight, because us graveyard guys are, you know, you don't like the lights, so I'm with you. I think that as the sheriff stated earlier, one of the things that people don't take into consideration is that first phone call that, you know, that comes into that dispatch center. You can either, even if you're having the worst day, your calmness, professionalism, and walking whomever it is through that crisis at that moment is so pivotal and key to success. So, you know, keep doing what you're doing for another, I'll jump on the joke bandwagon here, another 25 years. Congratulations. But thank you for all that you have done. And I, you know, both as a former officer as well as a citizen in the county, I'm glad to know that people like you are there and answering the phone when necessary. So thank you.
Supervisor Campbell?
Yeah, I very much agree with the comments of my colleagues, and it's so important having somebody, while the deputies on the street are the ones protecting all of us, you're the ones protecting the deputies with that. Dispatch is kind of above everything and sees the big picture, and providing that crucial element to keep the people out in these dangerous situations safe. So thank you very much for your essential work, and I know that I know a lot of people are might not be well aware of the level of training that it takes to be a skilled dispatcher. We started doing EMD a few years back, and it's already saved lives, and we'll never know exactly how many lives that it's saved. All of you and your employees getting that training, but it's just so essential to keeping people safe in the community. So thank you.
Supervisor Holland?
Thank you for your 25 years. Most people don't realize that the dispatchers are the interconnection between the people and the public. They're having the worst day of their life, and you're sending help to help them. And you're keeping that person calm while they get help there, or helping them through a tragedy at that moment. And couldn't say enough. And when you guys are short-staffed, it causes all kinds of problems down the chain. So I'm glad we're getting staffed up. And I believe David said if you stay 25 more years, he'll pick you out any chair you want for the new office.
Great.
Everybody wants
Well,
you to stay.
And I agree with the comments of my colleagues about the importance of what you do. I'm going to say that I've been there on this dais here only for the last 20% of that 25 years. And over that period of time, in interactions with dispatch, of course, our sheriff, former sheriff, and current sheriff handle much of the day-to-day direction and operations with that. Of what has come to here to see that we have been able to, with your leadership, I'm sure, behind the scenes in that, but with the sheriff's leadership, improve and invest in making sure that those systems do not go down, that it is leaving a comfortable and safe working environment, going through a period where were we down to 3, 4, I think, dispatchers?
Got down to 4.
4, which is an incredible strain on the people who chose to stay with us during that period of time, long hours, extra shifts. To see everything that we've been doing, of course, more deputies being able to respond to more incidences, also going to be putting more calls and follow-up response. And then the advanced life-saving aid, being able to adopt that, I think, 4 years ago, where you're not just receiving and forwarding the call, but you are on the phone there with somebody, helping them to navigate a scary situation on hand. In that 5 years, I have no doubt that you have been a pivotal part of being able to make these improvements and to restore the capability and expand it beyond whenever it would be. I won't ask you to have to stay for another 25 years, but it is hard when we lose any employee that has that experience, that camaraderie, that teamwork. It is deeply felt. So maybe just if you can stay at least 5 more, that'd be fantastic. We'll get you a whole nother plaque. Thank you so much. And I think this calls for a round of applause. And I think it's presentation. Yeah. Do we need public comment on presentation? There's no action. We can. Yeah, we'll do, okay. Though there was not an action associated with that, we may have jumped the gun a little bit. I'd like to make sure that we have an opportunity for the public to speak to any item and continue to further embarrass some of the hardworking folks who normally aren't up here at the dais getting a lot of attention. If any members of the public would like to speak on item 11, which we just covered, and the presentation of dispatcher Lisa Oler, please come forward. Elaine has to please be at the podium. Thank you. And please address the board too. Thank you. Remember, we got the camera right here.
There, okay. Several years ago, while walking on a trail very close to my property in Ponderosa Hills, I discovered a hanging dead body. And it was life-shattering for me. And I called, and it may have been her that I spoke with, but the voice was so calm, made sure I was safe, made sure I was okay, and just kept me calm through a really devastating situation. And I just want to thank her. If it wasn't her, she probably trained that person. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Do we have additional public comment? Oh, sometimes folks get up and I'm not sure. Okay, so with that, we will close public comment on item 11. Thank you for presenting and thank you for everyone in attendance for that. We'll be moving on to item 12, and then I think we will take a break before item 13. The clerk can read item 12.
Item number 12, consideration of adopting resolution 91-25 proclaiming October 20 through 24th, 2025 as National School Bus Safety Week in Tuolumne County.
Okay, great. Please come forward.
Good morning. My name's Christy Hammerbeck. I'm here representing Sonora High School Transportation. I'm not sure how we're supposed to follow that last act, but we'll do our best. I'm here along with Angela Howard from Somerville High School Transportation, Officer Steve Machado, and our colleagues from both Somerville Elementary and Sonora High School. We're here because the third week of October is National School Bus Safety Week. Angela and I are both very passionate about keeping the children of Tuolumne County safe and raising awareness in our community about the importance of following the laws regarding school bus safety. I'm going to turn it over to Angela, and then Officer Steve Machado, who's been very supportive, is here with us as well. But before I do, I just want to thank the board for your previous support of this initiative. You guys have been very helpful and very supportive, as well as our Tuolumne County Sheriff's Department, Sonora Police Department, and our Superintendent of Schools. We've reached out to key members of the community, and just the response we've gotten has just been amazing. So thank you for that. Angela?
Good morning, everyone. My name's Angela Howard, Somerville High School. I just want to thank also the people that are in our audience. We have superintendents of schools, a lot of people from that are drivers. And we appreciate that you will take and honor this week. It's a national across the states that everybody is celebrating the 20th through the 24th this year of 2025. In 1970 is when this actually began with a man named Dick Fisher, and he brought this across the nation. The most important thing that we're looking at is not only safety, but the awareness of our community. It appears that we have blindsided our community as far as them being aware of that we're actually on the bus. You would not even realize how many people don't see us. Yellow was the chosen color so that our visual can see this on a peripheral level and all areas. And it still doesn't seem to make a phase. So now that we have the red lights out there and the ambers, we're hoping that people will be able to take this moment to stop for our students. Last year, as a school bus driver, there was a prominent place that we were seeing a lot of red light runners daily. And it was 2 to 4 weeks after that we spoke with you that I seen a decrease in red light runners. So I was very proud to see that our community pulled together. All schools are posting from Brian Thomas, a county schools office, has made banners for our schools. And our superintendents obviously are standing behind us. And I just want to add a few things that we're doing to bring the attention. We are looking at young babies to elderly to be able to speak this language just as well. We also reached out to the radio station, and the radio station has posted that. And I'm not quite sure, but I heard that they were going to be having some conversation on radio as well. This year, Somerville High School has decided to take a bus out to 2 of our private schools, Malaja and Motherlode Christian, and we're going to bring a bus there and have the kids board that don't get to ride buses read a story to them, so they'll be able to take this back to their homes. We've been working closely with Sheriff and obviously the PD and CHP, and we're very, very grateful because when people see that they are behind us or within us, there's a time that they get to slow down. We have talked to our school cafeterias to see if there's possible ways that we can bring our high school into this as well. Somerville High School has posted artwork at County Schools Office. We're just trying to enlighten the community. And I always say I want to paint the school yellow. The whole county yellow. And I said that to somebody and they thought that I was literally going to paint. But we just really want to brighten the color of yellow. So anyways, I just want to thank you so much. And we will be back every year so that we can give you ideas of things that we are changing through our community. I feel like we're making a great deal.
Before Officer Machado takes over, our districts are making social media posts for Sonora and Somerville. We urge you to please share those posts to help get the word out.
Yes, so in behalf of our county schools, we seek to establish a resolution for the 3rd week of October to bring awareness to the public and recognize our school bus drivers locally and nationally each year.
Good morning, Officer Machado with the CHP. Anytime I can speak about safety, I'm always willing to show up. But I've overseen the school bus program for the last 6 years, and when I say oversee it, I assure that all the drivers meet the criteria when they go out and drive the students around. I also receive phone calls from the districts or the schools when we do have those red light runners. And it's overwhelming how many times we see those red light runners that we hear about. And unfortunately, we don't have the resources to be at every bus stop every single time. So we try to emphasize on safety, social media, and try to put ourselves out there. Normally during the beginning of the school year, we try to do it just because over the summer we forget what school bus looks like and kids with backpacks. And then we try to bring an emphasis on it at the beginning of the year. But in October, I support 100% what all the schools are doing. And I'm definitely here to say thank you for everyone taking time to listen to us, and hope that you know that we support them, and we look forward to keeping this trend in a downward movement to prevent the students from being hurt. Thank you.
Wonderful, thank you. What I'd like to do is to open this up for public comment, and then once we've closed that, bring it back and ask Supervisor Griefer to deliver comments for the board. All right, so with that, we'll open up public comments on this item. Please, anybody who would like to come forward, you'll have 3 minutes, and welcome.
Good morning, I'm Mike Merrill. I'm superintendent of Somerville Union High School District, and very proud to stand in front of you to represent what all these folks are talking about, National School Bus Safety Week. The first and last teacher of every day is a driver.
They may not have a credential, but they are teaching our students the etiquette of riding a bus, and they are providing the safest form of transportation to and from school. So on behalf of myself and my colleagues, to the drivers that we have here, thank you very much for what you do day in and day out. The professionalism and the respect that you show and teach our students is very much a two-way street. And so on behalf of myself, our school board at Somerville Union High School District, and my colleagues throughout the county, thank you for this opportunity today.
Thank you. Superintendent, good morning.
Good morning. Zach Abernathy, Tuolumne County Superintendent of Schools. I just wanted to thank the board for considering the resolution and the group today for presenting. And the partnership between the schools, law enforcement has been super supportive. I just wanted to thank, all of them, and especially the people who get our kids to and from school safely, and the community who is responding to, we noticed that some things were happening that were unsafe, and the group here in front of you today is pointing it out, and the community has responded. And so I just wanted to thank the whole community, and especially the people who get our kids to and from school safely. So thank you.
Thank you. Do we have additional comment on this item?
Dave Vasquez, Sheriff of Tuolumne County. Again, I'd be remiss to not express my sincerest gratitude for all the staff that goes into supporting our children and what, for the public. And I think that what is unclear to many of folks is how dedicated our transportation staff is for all of our special districts and all of the schools in Tuolumne County, that they are entrusted with the care and safety of our children from the moment they leave the front door to the moment that they return back to that same front door. And the level of support that goes into it is often unseen, especially even in the winter months. I mean, we're talking about, the red light runners and all that, but in the winter months, some of these folks get up at 02, 03 hours in the morning to figure out if it's going to be safe or not and make those determinations and those judgments on behalf. And it's the same kind of decisions that custodial parents would make. And so I cannot express how grateful I am for all of the staff and everybody that puts all their heart and soul into it. For those red light runners, and we are proud of that partnership with our California Highway Patrol partners to address red light runners. I have a Deputy Sheriff, Antonio Schaus, who I certainly said that I was going to embarrass him, who is kind of spearheading our red bus light runners in partnership with our California Highway Patrols, and he told me today that he's already have over a dozen citations specifically for that. And so for the public and for awareness, we fully support our transportation partners and National School Bus Safety Week, and there will be consequences for violators, so please beware. Thank you, and we'd be happy to share those social media press releases as well.
Good morning.
Morning. Jeremy Craddock, representing Somerville Elementary School.
Might have to.
Jeremy Craddock, representing Somerville Elementary School. With the report you recently had with some of the citations that have been issued with the red light runners, we just wanted to let you know in the awareness building that we also have taught our younger elementary school kids to, when we perform a crossover, to teach them as they cross over the lane with a bus driver that are supervising them, that they take the time to look left before they step out in the lane of traffic, just with the amount of incidents that we've had. So just wanted to add that. Thank you.
Great, thank you. All right. Seeing no further comment on this item, we'll close public comment on it and bring it back to the board. Supervisor Griefer.
Thank you, Chair. So I've seen both sides of this, and I want to, I know, Officer Machado, he's been, how he does it is beyond me. I mean, a lot of people don't realize exactly what the CHP does when it comes to school buses. So I'm going to steal a little of your thunder here. There's an inspection where the school bus comes to the office and they do a full walk around before they get their test. And there's actually a written test. And then Sergeant Machado with your, maybe you'll get promoted one day. Officer Machado will get in that school bus with someone he's probably never ever met before and go and do this ride. And I can only be terrified thinking that I would never ever want to drive a school bus because it's so big. So, you know, there's a lot of moving parts that go to the end result, and that end result is keeping the kids safe. You know, there's a school bus driver up in Groveland named Nellie Moore. And she was probably, if she's not still driving, she's a drill sergeant. She'll yell at those kids to make sure they're sitting in their seats, and the things she's yelled at, I'll probably get her in trouble, at people who would violate, run that red light, but, or she'll get out in the middle of that crosswalk with that stop sign to make sure that those kids are safe. It's a whole culture, and that culture is, again, that end result of making sure that the children are safe. I wholeheartedly applaud the enforcement of red light runners. That's the ones, we've seen those videos recently online where those are going to be the ones that are going to kill those kids, the ones that pass on the shoulder or on the sidewalk just because they're impatient. And, you know, my old life is just hammer them, just keep writing those tickets, get that message out. For me, I've seen both sides of it. I'm very proud to have been on the providing the enforcement side of that and working with that. And now on this side of it, supporting whatever the school buses need, because it's such the unsung heroes of that, getting our kids to and from safely is so important. And I think sometimes it gets lost in today's world. So thank you for everything you do, everything that the first responders do, especially the Highway Patrol and the Sheriff's Department, for keeping those kids safe out there, and how those school bus drivers drive on snowy days. I am terrified sometimes just to drive on certain roads, but they're taking these big school buses up, especially you hear about a little snow in Phoenix Lake, and it's the Wild West of, car crashes out there. So good job. Keep up the good work, and please continue. Whatever you need from us, just ask.
All right, with that, be looking for a motion if there's no further comments from the board to approve of Resolution 9125.
I'll make that motion that we approve it.
Okay.
Second.
We have a first by Supervisor Holland. We have a second by Supervisor Campbell. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstaining. Sure. It passes unanimously. Sorry for the pause there, a dramatic pause, in case anybody wasn't clear. Passes unanimously. Thank you again for presenting. Thank you to our superintendent and others. All right, so with that, we're going to be taking, let's do, how about till 10:30? It'll be about a 6-minute break or so. There is, by one of my colleagues, a submission for, this would be on item 13, I believe an amended version or a suggested version. It's just available on the back if you'd like to see. It looks like a whereas resolution format there. So we're reconvening at 10:30. Okay, thank you. Everybody can take your seats. We're reconvening the board meeting at 10:31. We'll be considering item 13. If the clerk can read the item, please.
Item 13, consideration of adopting Resolution 92-25, designating October 14, 2025 as the National Day of Remembrance for Charlie Kirk in Tuolumne County.
Okay. Supervisor Griefer.
Thank you. There we go. Yeah, so thank you, Mr. Chairman. Originally, I wanted to bring this forward the last meeting. Unfortunately, it just didn't come together in time. We wanted to tie it together with the National Day. So I just want to say thank you to everybody on both sides of the discussion for sending in their comments to the board. I know at least I read them all. I appreciate everybody who's reached out to me specifically. So I understand that this can be somewhat of a polarizing item, and it's not supposed to be a polarizing item. This morning, Supervisor Kirk handed kind of a friendly amendment, and it's written a little bit differently, but somewhat better than what I had. So if that's okay, before I give any full comments, I'd like to have Supervisor Kirk kind of maybe talk about his, and then I will address comments at the end.
Okay. Supervisor Kirk.
Okay, well, where do I start? I think, so how many, do you guys have the resolution in front of you? I printed copies. I want to make sure folks, not everybody, can we get some more copies by chance printed? Okay, we'll get some more copies.
There are copies in the back.
There are copies in the back. They're out? Okay, could we get some more printed? Okay.
Is this something that is submitted with the agenda item? Is it, or will be digitally available?
Oh, yeah, yeah. I finished my revision on it this morning. When I read Griefer's, thank you Griefer for putting time and energy into it. I thought to myself, okay, obviously Congress approved something very similar to this. They wanted to recognize Charlie Kirk, and I get that. I think there's a large portion of our community who would agree, and then there's also a portion of our community who would disagree with what Congress did. And I think what I'm experiencing as a supervisor is I'm going through some of my own growth and development. And I've said this at some meetings where, I came in the supervisor role to do what I think is the work of the government: budget, finance, department evaluations. I mean, the list goes on and on. Advocating for Tuolumne County. But there's been a shift, I think, since COVID, where more and more social issues keep getting brought to this board. And it's really interesting because, like, if you look at Calaveras County, it's not happening nearly as much, maybe not even at all. There's a lot more energy focused here in Tuolumne County, and that's okay. And so when I read the memorandum that Griefer put forth, I had to sit back and I'd ask myself, like, what is it that we're trying to accomplish? What is it that I'm trying to accomplish if I approve this or don't approve it? Like, what are my intentions? I had to ask myself that. And I think at the end of the day, the spirit of where I'm coming from is I am sick of the division at the national, state, and local level. And I'm trying to make amends with folks who are willing to have a cup of coffee with me and go have a conversation if you're a polar opposite of me. And so if I approve what Griefer wrote, I'm going to piss some people off and I'm going to make some people happy. That's just the reality of it. Everybody has their own ideas as far as where they're coming from. And so back to my point of what is my intentions here? The resolution that I put forth was to acknowledge the fact that there has been an explosion of ideology on both sides. I think it's okay to dehumanize people for how they think, how they communicate, how they believe. And I think it's okay to use violence to communicate, whether it's through throwing bricks at cops or shooting people and killing people who don't believe what you believe. And we've seen this shift. I think it was blown up in our faces. It's one thing to murder somebody. It's another thing to assassinate somebody. There is just a difference, whether you believe me or not. It's easy to go down a street corner and murder somebody. It takes a lot more intention to do a public assassination so the world can see. And the public assassination of Charlie Kirk absolutely put on display the heightened point of how crazy things have gotten. So I could write this resolution and not name anybody, but there is a turning, thank you, Dory Beats put copies in the back. There is a turning point where this public assassination has, whether you're on the left or right, it has woken us up to that there is some crazy stuff happening in our world. So although some people want to make this day, the 14th, all about Charlie Kirk, I think what I want to do, the spirit of what I'm trying to accomplish, is actually what Charlie Kirk stood for, which is lay your arms down and have a conversation. So my resolution is acknowledging the ability that as American citizens, like the sheriff got up and said this morning, whether what you say, whether people believe in it or not, you have the right and you have the ability to say that without fear of intimidation, without fear of losing your life. And this resolution calls out people who have lost their lives, both on the Republican and Democratic side. And if you came here today to point the finger and to start dissension, so be it. That's fine, we can do that. My intention with this resolution was to put on equal display that all lives are worth it, that all lives are considered equal, and whether you're Charlie Kirk or you're Melissa Hortman, a Democrat, or her husband, or John Hoffman and his wife who were shot and wounded, no matter what side of the aisle you're on, none of this is deserved. And on October 14th every year, I would like to move forward and think of it as a day where we can remember free speech and remember public servants who are being targeted for their beliefs and their free speech. If you have time to read the resolution, I did my absolute best. I've been through this about 4 or 5 times. I actually met with another extremely liberal person yesterday who continued to bend my mind, not because I'm not firm in my values and my beliefs, but because I am trying desperately to hear the other side and come to a middle ground. Not because I'm weak, but because nobody's doing it anymore. The most important part of this resolution is the very last point, where I'm asking people to reach across the political divide and find someone who sees things differently than you, share a cup of coffee and start a conversation. Get out of social media and stop being victimized by the algorithms that are controlling this divide. In a world of information, we can't trust any source document anymore. It's crazy. And finally, I would like to continue my advocacy for reaching out to people and having a conversation. To date, I still have not had one person challenge me on what Charlie Kirk said in the context of what he said. Nobody has sat down with me and gone through the things that that gentleman got up and ranted off. That sound horrible, but yet not one person has wanted to sit down with me and let's look at the full context of it. If there's something I need to learn, show me. But I think we can learn better together if we're having a conversation instead of just getting up and yelling at each other. These crimes that have happened in our community back in January, where we've been held to standards, I'm just over the divide. So moving forward, if we're going to continue down this path, my path moving forward is very simple. I'm going to reach across the aisle. I'm going to try and hear where you're coming from. I may not agree, but if we can meet in the middle and agree that this public violence needs to stop targeting people who are saying what they believe, let them have their free speech, and stop demonizing people. And if we can do it in Tuolumne County, I can't control the nation, I can't control the state, but if we can do it in Tuolumne County and we can do it with our neighbors, it starts with one-on-one conversations. So I hope you guys hear the heart of where I'm coming from, the heart of this resolution. Again, there are people who are going to be extremely upset that we are not honoring specifically and only Charlie Kirk. I hope you watch this meeting and you hear the words out of my mouth. This isn't just about Charlie. And this is exactly what Charlie would want to do. He's saying, don't make it about me, make it about having a conversation and stop dividing each other. That's where I'm coming from. So if the community wants to back that up, then let's move on. Let's put this behind us. Let's honor everybody who's been targeted for their free speech and their political ideologies, and specifically those who are leaders. This is attacking leadership on both sides of the aisle. And if we can do that, I would be extremely thankful. So thank you.
Okay. Now procedurally, we have a resolution that was here for item 13. What I'm hearing is that this effectively scraps that and would replace it in title and text with what is recommended by Supervisor Kirk as a friendly amendment. Is that correct?
Correct.
So this will be what we're discussing and no longer what was the original language of item 13?
Correct.
Okay. Great. With that, we have additional opportunity to make a comment. We also have public comment on this. Supervisor Campbell?
Well, just on the resolution itself, this is now the third time where we've had a resolution that's appeared on the agenda that the public has had an opportunity to view. And then at the 11th hour during a board meeting, we're presenting a completely different resolution in substance.
And one second, and I try to be a very consistent stickler with this, but for the same reason, we don't want folks to get up or speak and be booed. We also ask that if folks can refrain from applause, that way we're able to have a full conversation. Everybody can participate equally. So I appreciate your participation and patience in that.
Thank you, Chair.
Supervisor Campbell.
And so completely different in the substance, the tone, and the what the resolution is trying to accomplish. So this has now become a routine with the Board of Supervisors that when we present and agendize a resolution that has some elements of controversy to it that the public reacts to, we then at the last minute change it to try and scoot under the wire. And I just think that is not an honest way to go about this. I don't think it gives the public, if we're saying that we want to hear from the public, we're saying that we want to hear from our constituents, then we need to actually act like it. I think that the only way to do this, if we do want to change the resolution to this degree, I mean, it's literally every word, as far as I can tell, is different. We need to table this, re-agendize it as it's written, and then vote on it as it's written, not just change it at the last minute. That's the only way to do this in a way that I think is fair.
Thank you. And like I said, I try to be very fair, whether I like the item, I don't like the item, and consistent in asking that of our audience and our participation. So thank you so much. Supervisor Holland? So my comments on it, and then I'll turn it over to Supervisor Griefer. I did not like that the item 13 originally was put onto this agenda. I think this is the reason we are a nonpartisan, local focused, action focused board. We represent a lot of opinions for the same that we've had a lot of ballot measures that have come up. We don't take them up and tell people how to vote. I think some of these things that are very sensitive, and there is a spectrum of that, I'd put this into that category, tends to be more damaging, divisive, and partisan, which is a reason why when we're asking people for faith, we're not so much the ideology policymakers, we are the implementers. With that said, I want to say that I appreciate the draft here. And I think the intent is what I would like to see in a resolution where we are responding to how it would be affecting locally. I appreciate that it is a bipartisan nature. It mentions some from, I think, previous conversations. And I agree, I read every email that came in, and thank you for the public, pro and con, for participating. That this represents what is, and I've said consistently, a bipartisan problem. We have a problem of escalating violence, escalating rhetoric. We can point fingers or look at stats on who is perpetrating that or trends, but we do have a problem. We have a problem with political division that is coming up into stronger and stronger clashes. These are targeted events, but there have been people, marching with violence rhetoric. There have been cars going into crowds. These are not isolated. I think these are part of, unfortunately, somewhat of a breakdown in our political system. I do want to put as a last bit, and it maybe feels like splashing cold water on it, I completely agree with Supervisor Campbell's comments. It is not a good way to do business. We had another amendment thing like this before. It's called a gut and amend. I appreciate that the gut and amendment is, I believe, a significant improvement over what was there. But as a process, and as we found, and this is just the parameters of this, we had copies in the back, and thank you, Supervisor Kirk, for printing those. But of course, if it is available this morning, most folks who would have gotten it over that agenda period would not have had it. I would prefer that we do that similarly so people can come and speak to the item and have kind of read it over a few days, and tabling that I think would be the best option. If we insist on moving forward with the vote, I can be fine with that. It's just, it is not the best way to do it in terms of transparency. So a few mixed thoughts on it. Thank you for the effort and for the comments you were saying. I agree with that, as we have to find ways to come together and especially protect spaces like this where Congress is going to go fight and do their Congress stuff. There's a reason they have a 9% approval. We have to protect these local spaces because we're the trusted provider or representatives overseeing the providers of services that affect you every day. We're not just out there debating and fighting and, talking about what the values of the country should be. We're here actually building that community, protecting that community, serving that community in a very different capacity.
No.
Supervisor Griefer?
Thank you. I have no issues with tabling it, right? I don't have a problem with that, right? That part of this process is exactly what we're doing, is to bring something forward, have a discussion about it, and if we want to table it, we can table it. I don't have a problem with that. And as someone said earlier, it's not about me. The genesis of this document, or my original document, was actually brought to me and forwarded to me by a member of a different political party that said, hey, we need to stop dividing. This is an idea. Can you work on this with me and help bring this forward? And I said, sure, right? And so we bring it forward. As I said, I hadn't spoken to any other supervisor about this because we obviously don't want to violate Brown Acts and things like that. I appreciate Supervisor Kirk drafting and bringing this forward, which is why I said, if it's the intent is to bring all of us together. It's not to divide us. That's the intent of these conversations, these discussions. We don't have to like everybody. We don't have to like what they say, but as it's written in Supervisor Kirk's item number 1 here is free speech and public service. He just phrased it better than what my goal was, to have people just sit down and talk and put this stuff behind us. So I again, it's political violence is what we're really discussing, and people being murdered for saying whatever they wish, whether we like it or we don't like it. I thought it was very interesting that I had people from a different political party and people that were in the middle both said the same thing. Hey, we need to do something. Can you help get the conversation going? And if I didn't write it well enough, then so be it. I didn't write it well enough. That's why we have this process. And so I don't have an issue with tabling it because it's not about me. I'm all for open discussion, right? So I will gladly, listen to all the feedback that's about to be provided. And we move forward. So if we wish to table this after the discussion, I have no problem with that because that's how we work together as a organization. So thank you.
Great. Okay, with that, there's no further comment from the board. We will open it up for public comment on this item. Just for clarity's sake, we do still have what was presented as the original item 13. We do have the new amended language. If you don't have a copy of that, I believe it's in the back. Both would be appropriate to comment on under this, though we're, it seems, not discussing the original resolution anymore. So with that, please go ahead. Welcome.
Good morning. This is the second meeting in a month that I've come to with something I've spent time preparing to speak to that have been withdrawn at the last minute. The Prop 50 issue a couple of weeks ago, and now this. It's really discouraging. This new resolution is completely different, as you said. I mean, it's ridiculous that, anyway, I'm going to proceed with a few comments that I prepared. I certainly took issue with Mr. Griefer's resolution, honoring Charlie Kirk, a nationally known divisive character with a podcast and a very wide audience, is not the way to go. This is a nonpartisan board. Let me remind you, you talk about different parties. That has no relevance here. This is nonpartisan. Some of the things that Charlie Kirk has said are very un-American in my mind. He said, 4 prominent and successful Black women who all went to Ivy League universities, Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson, the former First Lady Michelle Obama, TV host Joyanne Reed, and former Representative Sheila Jackson Lee of Texas, did not, and I quote Kirk, have the brain processing power to otherwise be taken seriously and had to go steal a white person's slot. That is ugly talk. That is divisive. He condemned and disparaged people who are gay and transgender and said, quote, the pride and trans movements have always been about grooming kids. He called the transgender movement a throbbing middle finger to God. Ugly image. He espoused the Great Replacement theory, which argues that white Americans are being systematically replaced by brown and Black immigrants. He criticized feminists and said women should get married young and have many children. When Taylor Swift announced her engagement, he said, reject feminism, submit to your husband. You're not in charge. He created the professor watch list for college students to turn in their teachers and gave the phone numbers of the administrators for the students to contact. And many professors on this list have been doxxed, harassed, some have been fired. Is this activity furthering free speech and open debate, as you say in this resolution?
Thank you, and that's your time.
He is not a champion of free speech.
Thank you. And please, all the comments have to be to the board. Thank you.
Prove me wrong. CK Day is a holiday celebrating straight white Christian men. You want a day to honor free speech? I'm okay with that. 1,500 of us showed up Saturday to support free speech for free. Or a day of remembrance for those murdered by gun violence. Neither Kirk nor the students that were murdered the same day deserve to die. If it's public figures assassinated for political beliefs, thank you for including that. Let's honor Minnesota House Speaker Melissa Hortman. but a day celebrating the racist, misogynistic things that he espoused. I'm not okay with that. I'm going to pretend that I'm a little look around and see if there are any Black women in here that you guys are going to need to explain what I'm talking about. He said, and I directly quote, "You do not have the brain processing power to be taken seriously. You had to go steal a white person's job to be taken seriously." If I said that, I'd correctly be called a racist. In truth, the woman he referenced graduated from Harvard and Yale while he dropped out after one semester of community college. Giving him a day says we value his opinion that his beliefs are correct. How should we honor him? We could schedule the public executions that he felt were holy. Quoting Kirk, "I want to see executions on TV. Imagine if Coca-Cola sponsored them. That would be so American, so patriotic. I think children at a certain age should be required to watch. Public executions by guillotine are holy," end quote. Would students write essays on what a great humanitarian he was, having to support the idea that Black people aren't as smart as white people? The Black pilots aren't as competent. Anyone not white is competent. That my gay and trans friends be forced to celebrate a man, quoting him again, "They're an abomination to the Lord and a throbbing middle finger to God." Show of hands, please. Do our supervisors agree with his comments? Do you really believe that? We should not sanitize his hate. Not now, not ever. He built his $400 million brand demonizing LGBTQ people and other minorities, cherry-picking biblical quotes and statistics, spreading disinformation about gender and affirming care and transgender people. One can feel horrified about his death while still ardently opposing the bigotry he stood for. Do not glorify his racism with a holiday. He positioned himself as a defender of liberty, but the liberty he envisioned was conditional, anchored in whiteness, Christianity, and inclusion. What message are you intending to send to our community that are not white, Christian? If you vote yes, you should have to tell us which opinions you agree with. Real leaders seek to bring people together. He didn't. This causes division. I very much appreciate your amendment. It's frustrating that it wasn't presented earlier because now we're going to look like idiots for standing up and opposing this amendment. Prove me wrong.
Great, thank you.
Good
Welcome.
morning. Well, here we are again. I did spend about 3 hours working on my comments. Actually woke up in the middle of the night, rewrote the whole thing. I'm only going to share a couple of things from that, but before I do, I want to thank you, Anaya. I am in tears. I feel like our conversation had a really pivotal effect on your thought process, and I want to remind you that I am here for you as a friend. And to all of you who this is new news to, I know that sounds shocking coming from someone like me who's been very much on the left side of things. But what I have experienced in my relationship with you, Anaya, is that we're planting a seed. We're not putting things behind us. We're planting a seed. And we have to plant these seeds. It's critical. If we don't, we are going to suffer badly. I actually went in the middle of the night and looked up a few items in the Tuolumne County Board of Supervisors Governance Manual. And one of the things it says is that you are all elected and paid by us to affect policy change as a team rather than as an individual. And it's also clear to me that the previous resolution was not representing the team of this board. And I was very upset, to be honest, Mr. Griefer, that in fact, in a way, you were in effect and by proxy forging my signature on that resolution because of my taxes and my, presence as a citizen. But now I want to say that I want to be part of some kind of coalition that works together with the board on creating future resolutions. I would be more than happy to spend time. Last night felt like a waste of time to me. Now I feel like we're actually getting somewhere. And I want to get there with you and with you
Supervisor Campbell, and you, Supervisor Brandon, and you, Supervisor Griefer, and you, Supervisor Holland. We are in this together, and it's the only way we're going to make it. So thank you for this new amendment, and I ask that you do table it and include us in the process. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome.
Thank
back.
you. Thank you. I also urge you to table it and reconsider. I think what Supervisor Kirk proposed is a good first step, but it certainly should not be the final step. To address some of your comments, you said more political items are brought on your agendas than Calaveras, but I will point out all the political items have been proposed by fellow board members, not by the public. It's not the public that is politicizing these issues. It's you gentlemen. Also, there's a big difference between elected officials, such as yourself, and then movement leaders. And the violence is not equal. When we're all elected officials, we do this not for glory, not for the money, but because we truly care. Community leaders also truly care, but they do not represent all the people that voted for them or who even didn't vote for them. All of you have a requirement to try to represent even the people who don't agree with you and didn't vote for you. But it's your responsibility to try to govern for them too. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning.
Hey, I wanted to say something about each and every one of you and your ability to sit here and listen to everybody in the public, and thank you for doing what you're doing because it's a great service. And Anaya, when you say things like, I even spoke to a liberal. Yeah, them. You create the divisiveness that you say you want to stop. That's how I interpreted it. And every time someone says they're a liberal, they're doing the exact same thing. They're saying, I'm not going to listen to your side. I'm going to have a wall up no matter what you say. I'm going to defend myself just like you just did. So my request is that we use our language to create the future we want. And that's what you're doing with this proposal. So I would like to share a quick metaphor. My grandfather used to say, staunch Republican, has a picture of Ronald Reagan and Nancy Reagan in his office. And he said, whenever there's an issue that the government is dealing with that's a moral issue, like pro-life, pro-choice, I'll just start with that one. He says, don't look at the issue, look at like as a bathtub is flowing over and the water is flowing into the bathtub and the tub is flowing all over the floor. The politicians, the environmentalists, the lawmakers are all making money off of buying towels to wipe up the mess, but no one's actually talking about the bathtub flowing over. So I'd love to invite you to lunch. And I'd love to talk with you about the faucet. The problem in our language, especially with just that one issue, is that people are getting pregnant that don't want to be pregnant. People don't want abortions. Nobody wants to be in a circumstance where they need to have that horrible procedure done. So let's start talking about how to stop women from getting pregnant rather than blah, 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 pro-life, pro-choice, because that is so divisive. And we can look at every single issue that way, every single issue with immigration. Why are people leaving? Why do they want to be here? Let's not talk about shipping people out that already have family. I mean, this is terrible. Let's start talking about the faucet. And I would love to have lunch with you and talk with you about that as you rewrite this. And one other request I would have is when we look at having national holidays, they shouldn't have anything to do with morality or religion. Even Christianity having a Christmas day, I believe should be shifted from a Christian holiday to a people's holiday, a family holiday, a time. And my daughter said, Mom, make sure you still get gifts. You know, we still have to present gifts at Christmas. But we want to shift this country from being so divisive in our language just by saying someone's a Christian or not a Christian divides this country. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. On Tuesday, April 22nd, 2025, in a meeting that was found to have potentially violated California's Brown Act by Tuolumne County Civil Grand Jury, you secretly discussed and gutted a proposed hate crime resolution and approved a new resolution that followed the board's refusal to approve a different version condemning hate crimes. The original resolution explicitly condemned hate crimes based on sexual orientation, gender and gender identity, race, ethnicity, religion, national origin, and age, but was replaced with a generic statement referencing the 14th Amendment. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Supervisors of the County of Tuolumne affirms the county's commitment to upholding and enforcing the Equal Protections Clause of the 14th Amendment for all citizens within its jurisdiction. Equal protections is the legal principle from the 14th Amendment of the U.S. Constitution that requires states to treat individuals in similar circumstances the same way under the law. It guarantees that government actions must have a valid reason for treating different groups of people differently, and the level of justification required depends on the classification involved. This principle prevents the government from creating laws or policies that unfairly discriminate against specific groups. If a law or government action treats people differently, the government must provide good reasons for doing so. The required level of justification depends on the group being treated differently. Political affiliation is not a federally protected class. Under strict scrutiny, which is the highest standard of judicial review, the government must prove a compelling interest for the law and how it serves an important government interest. Therefore, passing a resolution that benefits one population but denies the benefits of other groups within protected classes is certainly a violation of the 14th Amendment's Equal Protection Clause. The Equal Protection Clause requires that the law be applied to all persons equally. Government actions that create discriminatory actions may be subject to strict scrutiny. You refuse to approve the resolution condemning hate crimes, despite what constituents asked you to do for protected classes. Under strict scrutiny, before passing any resolution regarding Charlie Kirk, please explain how this is within the compelling interest of the law but condemning hate crimes is not. You must justify how this is the necessary government objective that is important enough to justify infringing upon a fundamental right or upholding a law that treats people differently based on suspect classification. Please explain how this is not a violation of equal protections under the 14th Amendment. In 2022, regarding a resolution regarding Pride Month, Anaya, you said that you support individual liberties for people to pursue life, liberty, and happiness how you want, but you do not want to be put in a position to sign something that requires you to embrace it and fully celebrate it. I agree Charlie's death was terrible. No one deserves to be harmed because of what they believe or who they are. However, how is this any different for those who do not wish to celebrate or embrace a day of remembrance for Charlie Kirk? Also, I want to say thank you, Anaya, for the updated resolution. I think it's a lot better and inclusive.
Good, thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. I've made a retirement hobby of attending these meetings. You got to be retired to be able to come in on Tuesday morning. Twice I've watched Anaya do a gut and replace. I agree with Supervisor Campbell that when all of a sudden we have nearly 100% words all changed, how are we supposed to address them? Twice now, it looks like I'm going to see Supervisor Griefer have to withdraw something that is so partisan that it cannot be included for whatever reason. What an entertainment my retirement has been. Wow, I'm learning all kinds of stuff about how boards can act. But we were all wondering about October 14th until we figured out that Mr. Trump had decided that should be the date that we do something. And I wanted to remember here that on October 14th, 2020, Frederick Rudolph Dean, defensive end for the San Francisco 49ers, died tragically of COVID-19. Now, COVID-19 is pretty loaded too. Somebody's tacked a bunch of politics on that, but let me just say Frederick Dean was a 2-time first-team All-Pro and 4-time Pro Bowler. He won 2 Super Bowls with the San Francisco 49ers. Oh, God, the Bay Area. By the way, I'm from Brooklyn. So anyway, Frederick Dean was selected by the San Diego Chargers in the second round of the 1975 NFL Draft. He was traded to San Francisco in 1981 following a contract dispute in which he claimed that he was earning the same salary with the Chargers that his brother-in-law was earning as a truck driver. He was in both the Chargers Hall of Fame and the 49ers Hall of Fame. Frederick Dean was inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 2008. Following his football career, Frederick Dean served as minister of the gospel in his hometown of Ruston, Louisiana. And so to offer our children an example of athletic excellence, of successful contract negotiation, and of a tragically unnecessary death during the pandemic, we ask the Board of Supervisors to recognize the legacy of Frederick Rudolph Dean, defensive end for the San Francisco 49ers, by supporting the designation of October 14th, 2025, and future years on the same day as National Day of Remembrance for Frederick Rudolph Dean. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. I have to say that violence, division, what we're seeing in this country is not sustainable. I really appreciate your comments, Supervisor Kirk. I think that you've opened up a door for many of us to start this dialogue that has been thus far a brick wall. And I appreciate that very much. However, I would like to say that I think any recognition of anybody on October 14th will only extend that division. And I urge you, for whatever comes forward down the road, to oppose that. We need to move forward. I can't tell you that that day was a horrible day for all of us. It was a horrible day, and none of us wants to see that kind of violence, especially across this country. So please, let's just avoid October 14th and move on from that and start our dialogue to hopefully heal some of these things that we have between us. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. I'm a longtime county resident. I'm a longtime public school teacher in the county, although now I'm retired. I appreciate Supervisor Kirk's attempt at revising some of in the first petition, but Charlie Kirk was a very controversial figure, and because what I noticed, I read it over quickly. You specifically mentioned his name in this particular revision. And I think any mention of his name is going to create division within our county. And I agree. I think you should be a nonpartisan board, and you should try to get us all to live together peacefully. So I appreciate your attempt, but just mentioning his name to me is not acceptable. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. I fear that I'm up here, as Elaine said, to make a fool of myself. I was up till 1 a.m. writing a response to Griefer's resolution, and now I am put in a position of being unprepared, which I don't like. The same thing happened to me with a resolution about Prop 50. I stayed up till 1 a.m. working on it, and then I was not allowed to speak. And I was not going to speak pro or anti Prop 50. I was going to talk about the violation of the nonpartisan nature of the board. And again, today, I want to talk about the violation of the nonpartisan nature of this board. This is not the duty of the board to take positions on your personal beliefs. Leave your personal beliefs at the door and deal with the problems of the county, please. That was what I wanted to say last time. That's what I want to say this time. I really appreciate that what Supervisor Kirk is doing and saying. It is a first step. I think it's a good first step. I attended the memorial service in Tuolumne for Charlie Kirk just to see what people were saying. And I was shocked to hear people say things like, they killed him for his beliefs. I don't know who they is. I thought it was one lone confused gunman who had gender issues and was upset about what he said about his partner who was undergoing transition. Who are they? There's so much hatred against this unknown they, and it's really concerning. And I wrote a letter, Lunch with a Liberal. I don't know if you read it, Anaya. that right after I went to that and said, please come talk to me. Let's have a face to they. Because I think that there's a lot of fear out there about who liberals are. And we have all these things about we hate our country. We want to kill babies. We don't believe in anything that's patriotic, and we just want to destroy. And that is the opposite of our beliefs. So please have lunch with a liberal. I would ask you to do that. And I am making a fool of myself here. I apologize. But I do hope that you will look at every resolution that you put out there and honestly consider whether it is partisan and whether it will heal the divisions in this county or increase them. And I really like the suggestion that you meet with a group in the community to run those resolutions by people in the county to really get a reality check on that, because I think that there's too much people operating from their bubbles right now. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Welcome back.
Hello again. And this is changing horses in midstream, but the original resolution looked strange to me just because it was recognizing just one person where many others who have been murdered, some for their outspokenness, were not given a day of remembrance. Now, this new sheet that I only saw 10 minutes ago would change October 14th to Free Speech and Public Service Remembrance Day. I might disagree with previous speakers, but I like this and think it a great improvement. And one other thing, in my opinion, the best way to plunger the bathtub and take out the hair plug and turn off the faucet is for each one to use free speech that we still have, to listen to all kinds of viewpoints, read all kinds of viewpoints, even those that are annoying, and think, think. What is best for all these little kids I see in the store that'll be in this world after I have been evicted off of the planet? What's best for everybody? And once again, so far I like this new resolution much better, and thank you.
Thank you. Good morning.
Most of you know me. I've been in this county for a very long time as well. Feeling a little bit emotional right now. Just listening to everybody's comments are so important. And I too had spent time preparing what I wanted to say today, and that really is all changed because of what we're looking at now. And again, Anaya, thank you for this first step in the changes that we're considering for this resolution. Everybody that spoke here, I agree with every single person that spoke, and there were some really heartfelt comments here coming out. And the one thing that I appreciate from all of you is how you're listening. And I see you paying attention. I see you giving that respect to every single person that's out here, regardless of political agenda, regardless of anything. We're all citizens of Tuolumne County who care deeply about our county and our country. And the one thing, I'm just going to kind of read a little bit from the last paragraph that I wrote, because this is where I see a big difference in you and Charlie Kirk, and why I hope that if we do move forward with something, there's no specific name put in it in this, honoring of a day. Charlie Kirk, and I'm deeply sorry for everything that happened to him, and I respect your feelings about him, and as I would hope that you would respect ours in the difference of opinion in what he spoke about and the way that he presented his opinions. I don't believe much in what Charlie said and put forth, and I definitely don't appreciate the way he used his platform. Charlie's debates weren't true debates. He dismissed and put down the ideas of the people who came before him. He interrupted. And this is what I'm appreciating today so much, as I don't see that happening here. You're giving everybody a chance to talk. So thank you so deeply for that. And I really hope that in our county, we can move forward and maybe make a difference in the way the rest of our country is thinking as well, because we do have to change and we do have to come together, or we're in a whole lot of trouble. So thank you for hearing. Thank you for considering something different than was originally proposed. And we appreciate you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon,
Back.
Board. I just want to say thank you for tolerating my earlier rhetorical technique there. The concept of context has been mentioned. The reason I did that is because I think you all are well aware of the context in which some of the rhetoric that Charlie Kirk has said was set. Like, if you need context, when someone says Black people were better under slavery, and you can't just take that at face value as wrong and anti-American, what additional context do I need to provide? Like, seriously, this is the guy that you want to have in the same resolution as Abraham Lincoln and John F. Kennedy. I don't think he quite reaches that level. Now, what I will say, and I would say probably the one good thing that Charlie Kirk has given to our current society is that push to have these conversations and dialogue. We all do this, I would argue, kind of professionally at this point. You know, we ran because we believe and we love this country. I consider myself, and that's like the core reason why I ran. I want to fight for the America that I believe we all deserve. I will say that I really hope you all look at what City Council passed last night, our resolution. It was a resolution to condemn violence and to promote respectful dialogue. And if you read that resolution, we didn't name a single person. And there's a very, very important reason why we did that. Because this isn't about one individual. This is about setting the tone. As elected officials, as leaders of our community, we want to set the example ourselves on the type of language and dialogue and decorum that we would like to see in our society. I don't need to quote Abraham Lincoln, Charlie Kirk, JFK, whoever, to have those ideals. And I think it really diminishes some of the struggles that, you know, I don't think anyone here is going to argue that Abraham Lincoln probably had a harder job than anyone guiding our nation, really saving our nation. And I don't think it's appropriate to put Mr. Kirk, Mr. Charlie Kirk, in the same category there. I think it's, quite frankly, very partisan and divisive. And then I just want to say thank you. I do think that resolution is a solid improvement, but I'll offer this. Sheriff Vasquez mentioned the educational program out at juvenile detention. I actually have a class in a little over an hour that I have to go and teach out there. We talked about minstrelsy. So just to provide context, when Mr. Kirk says things, you know, like denigrating Black people, if you don't know what minstrelsy is, it's kind of like the birth of American music. It created stereotypes that Black people have been trying to get out from underneath for a long time.
Sorry. And welcome. And you can adjust the mic too.
I'm sorry?
You can adjust the mic. There we go. Perfect.
I think everything I was going to say has been said while I was standing in line. But I do agree with your efforts to declare a peace day. I think that's a great, wonderful idea. I hope it brings our community together to initiate some dialogue and bring us to more peaceful arena. Since we already have Indigenous People Day on October 14th, I'm wondering if we might want to add Indigenous Peoples Day and International Peace Day, something of that effect, without naming any particular person. I think we can all remember people that we miss in our lives, and feel sorry that they are gone from this earth. And just leave it open for our own remembrances, maybe. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you. As she just said, everything I was going to say has already been said, so I'm going to make this real short. First of all, I want to thank Supervisor Kirk. That was a moving speech you gave. It was an opening for all of us. I really enjoyed that. Thank you very much for that. Free speech and public service remembrance day. Who can be against that? That's a wonderful thing, and I hope that you table it now and then work on this earlier. The only thing I want to say, just like many have said, is that Charlie Kirk, may he rest in peace, was a divisive character. There's no doubt about that. And to have his name included in this resolution is, as many have said, a divisive piece of sort of political theater. So I just would urge the board to remove that from the resolution. It can be for all people who've been wrongly assassinated, but to have that name in there it will remain divisive. So thank you very much.
Great. Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you. Personally, I'd like to thank you for the evolution of the day. It was a tough night, and I'm happy it's turned this way. I agreed to read this, so this is for someone else. As a county employee who does not feel comfortable expressing my views against the board publicly, I would like my voice to be heard against this resolution as a voter and a constituent. Thus, I have asked for this to be read. While many of us stand firmly and without hesitation against all forms of violence, this resolution and the language in it praises a man who so often showed disdain and disrespect for others. Many Americans never heard of Charlie Kirk prior to his death, and for this board to vote in favor of a resolution that honors his life and legacy sends the wrong message. Many members of our community view him not as a unifying figure, but as one whose positions have been polarizing. While we should all condemn the violence that ended his life, we cannot ignore that Mr. Kirk's public record is defined by rhetoric that undermined civil rights, dismissed the struggles of marginalized communities, disrespected women of color, and spread division. To elevate such a legacy through official recognition is both harmful and inconsistent with the values of equity, justice, and dignity that this community deserves. Honoring those who openly disparage civil rights protections sends the wrong message to our children and neighbors about the kind of leadership worth emulating. Government time, resources, and moral authority should focus first on local needs, social unity, reconciliation, and public services, not partisan or polarizing memorials. If the board insists on a resolution, it should do so in a neutral and nonpartisan form that does not tie itself to any particular individual's ideology or legacy. If an honoring resolution is passed, it should include a sunset clause and a review mechanism requiring periodic reconsideration, not a blanket statement for future years. We should all rise in opposition to this resolution. While we should all condemn political violence, we should not conflate that with uncritical praise. Remember that symbolic resolutions matter. They represent the entire community, not just a political faction, and that they should avoid divisive symbolism. Better alternatives exist that build unity. Please vote no on this resolution.
Thank you. Welcome.
Hi, I'm really nervous. This is my first time.
You're doing great already.
So I do want to thank you, Mr. Supervisor Kirk, for revising this. However, I do still feel it's a little insufficient. We should celebrate our First Amendment rights and being able to express that. But to put his name in this resolution and to use October 14th is not going to close that gap. Another thing I want to say is if this day was so important to Charlie Kirk supporters, where are they? So my observation is it's very less important to them to have this holiday as it is our importance to not celebrate his life. I do have a question for Supervisor Griefer, because you were on the internet yesterday on Facebook making comments to a particular woman. And I responded, and I want to know, can you and will you provide a video of Mr. Kirk that is uplifting and positive? I have done a lot of research on my own. I have asked my Kirk supporter friends, because I'm not against him. I'm not for him. I'm kind of in the middle. I really don't. So I have friends who do support him. I ask them the same question. The only thing I get back is maybe a 5-second video that says he doesn't believe in skin color. And that was the uplifting video that I got. And I have done a lot. I've asked everywhere. I've looked everywhere, but I can't find one. So my question is why are we celebrating on this day invoking his name for this resolution when I don't have anything positive being given to me? And I'm not saying he's right or wrong. I'm just saying, show me why this is an important celebration. If you're celebrating First Amendment, then take his name out and put it on a different day. So please provide me why I'm supposed to celebrate his life. I got no response from you yesterday. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you. Ooh, that's
And
loud.
you can bend it up a little bit too.
Okay, thanks. Hi, Jaren. Hi, everybody. First, I wanted to say thank you to each of you who serves on this Board of Supervisors. I know that it represents a lot of work and takes a lot of patience. I have served in this county for 31 years as an educator, and my least favorite part of that job was going to meetings. So I empathize with how arduous it can be. That said, I wanted to say something about this revised resolution. As an English teacher for all of these years, one of the things that I have always tried to impress upon my students is the importance of revision. So, Supervisor Kirk, I appreciate that you have spent some time and thought in revising this. And what that represents to me as a person and as a teacher is that learning is taking place. And that is true for all of us. When we have these conversations and we see these revisions, there's learning that is taking place, and that's growth for all of us. So I appreciate that that is evidenced in this new draft. And I want to offer my services as a 31-year long experienced person in any redrafting efforts that you might take on. Although
I do think that there's been a case made for dropping this as a resolution as well. So whichever way it goes, if you need some help, I would like to offer my services. I appreciate the invitation to coffee. I just want to know who's buying. Yeah, man, coffee is expensive. All right. Thank you very much, gentlemen. All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome.
Like to say good morning to the board. It takes a lot to get me to do public speaking because I hate it. You got me to come down here, Supervisor Griefer, so thank you. Supervisor Campbell, I like the fact that you called a spade a spade. We all got blindsided. I got so much to say, but now it's kind of superfluous, but I would just like to point out that 7 million people gathered and marched peacefully on Saturday. There was no violence that I know of, except a few incidences of people that opposed the march, driving cars or pointing guns. So we can come together as a nation. We don't resort to violence. We've got to get together. The president posted video of him flying a jet called King Trump and dropping feces on the protesters. This has got to stop. And it won't happen at this level, but at this level, you cannot support a resolution to honor a man who's thrown so many bombs at gender, racial bombs, religious bombs. You have better things to do. And that's really kind of all I wanted to say. So thank you.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good.
Still
Is it
morning.
almost afternoon?
It's almost afternoon.
Where-
Not quite yet.
Anaya, great job. I'm gonna stand here and say I didn't believe you. I have a hard time trusting you, as well as you have a hard time trusting me. This is an incredible step toward compromise. Thank you. We also have one more thing in common. We got grammar checked by Meryl Soto. We're in the club now. I also want to mention though, great first step. Let's get coffee. Mentioning Charlie Kirk is still going to feel divisive. And I know that's a hard place to understand. I will explain it deeper later. Steve, you could take some notes. Watching your social media and the way you have worked to divide, to call Democrats, Lori Sylvester is a longtime Democrat and this is what she does, on quotes that we've all seen, and then putting up that resolution. I can't think of a more divisive, supervisory move that I've seen in the last 10 years here. And it's super disappointing. I put myself out there when you were running and I was like, nah, he's going to be great. He's going to work with both sides. He'll be all right. And you made a liar out of me. And I want you to think about your nonpartisan nature. Anaya's growing. He's stretching. Those conversations aren't comfortable at all. I, of all people, know. I've fielded those threats of violence to myself. I've known what it's like to have people tell me I have a target on my back. And you were the one that made it worse. And I just want you to remember that when you sit down in front of your keyboard on your Facebook. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. Rhetorically speaking, I accuse. And hopefully that will manifest itself as I talk some more. I have a reference that I will refer to. This is The Guardian from last month. There's an article, it's called Charlie Kirk in His Own Words. And it is an expression of Charlie Kirk's beliefs and ideas. I think it self-condemns him. Regarding this resolution, I wanted to point out, this is really trivial. On the be it resolved part, that the day acknowledges the assignation and life taken by Charlie Kirk, and I think they mean assassination, assignation. This document is a cover up. It's trying to make up. There was a Dadaist resolution proposed by Supervisor Griefer that was beyond the pale. So it had to be modified. It was modified on the fly. The whole thing should be thrown out. I didn't know that October 14th was National Indigenous Day, but usurping that day for this is nonsense. If we're going to establish a new free speech and public service Remembrance Day, that's cool, but don't take away other days in order to do it. Now, I had mentioned that I was going to refer to Charlie Kirk, and I'm going to quote some of Charlie Kirk for you, and you can just shut me off when my time runs out, okay? September 8th of this year, Charlie Kirk said, "Islam is the sword the left is using to slit the throat of America." Regarding gun violence, Charlie said, "I think it's worth it to have a cost of, unfortunately, some gun deaths every single year so that we can have the Second Amendment to protect our other God-given rights. That's a prudent deal. It's rational." That's what he says. Yes. And on race, well, I think I
Sure.
said it already.
And
If I see
that's the end of the
that's
time
it?
as well.
Okay,
Thank you.
my pleasure.
Welcome.
Thank you. I'm Judith Scheimer, native Sonoran, and I applaud you, Supervisor Kirk, for revising this resolution. And I also would like time to consider what it says. And I too stayed up until 1 o'clock last night trying to prepare something succinct to say to you about the resolution that was included in the agenda. And I'd like to go ahead and share those things. Now, my understanding is the job of a county supervisor is to oversee the well-being of all county residents in all aspects of county management. Duties include recognizing county employees and community members who provide outstanding dedication and service to Tuolumne County, as we saw earlier here, the beautiful tribute, not to national figures who express specific religious and political viewpoints. You are a nonpartisan board. The United States of America was founded on religious freedom, not one specific religion or person interpreting a particular religious theology, such as Charlie Kirk. While I respect your intention, Supervisor Griefer, your proposal for the above resolution, that was the original resolution, is entirely inappropriate. I know people in the county, and you've heard many of us say this, who revere Charlie Kirk as well as those who have opposition to him. The board's duty is to respect all viewpoints. Passing the proposed resolution or one that includes Charlie Kirk's name serves to create divisiveness within our county. There is no need to generate decision in Tuolumne County. And wasting all this time today distracts you from facing and focusing the crucial issues that face our county. I ask that you hold off and table any resolution today, even the last one. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning,
Welcome.
almost afternoon. Sorry, this is my first time. Please bear with me.
Just, if you don't mind, up to the mouth a little, there. It's not just for us, but also the viewers at home.
Okay. Is that?
Perfect.
I just want to say I appreciate the new resolution. I think it is a good work in progress. I think a resolution stating we should have free speech for everybody, for all sides, all parties, would be wonderful without anybody's name attached to it. There's been several people, both politicians and innocent civilians, who have been out exercising their First Amendment rights, and they have been killed or hurt or maimed by cars, by guns. And I just think that it would be great if we could say, everybody, let's stop the violence. These are notes I prepared before on the previous resolution. So I want to say this past Saturday, I joined fellow community members in celebrating the United States, our democracy, our Constitution, and especially our Bill of Rights. It was a joyful day filled with music, dancing, families, neighbors connecting, and people expressing their love for our country. All political parties were represented and welcomed. People with different views assembled peacefully, exercising their First Amendment rights. I want to say thank you to all the Tuolumne County employees and volunteers that helped with a successful event. It was truly a celebration. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. We're still in public comment on item number 13. Looking for any final public. There we go. There's always a couple folks waiting to get that's what we're not sure yet, so.
Oh, no, I wasn't meaning to come and get the last
Good.
thing.
Good morning.
It should be tabled completely. Whatever Griefer had to say was horrible. Charlie Kirk was a horrible person, point blank. Anaya Kirk wanting to amend it at the last minute, it needs to be tabled. How are you going to discuss anything about assassination without mentioning Malcolm and Martin? It's beyond me.
Thank you. And
Supervisors, my name is Clint Paxton, and I'll make this very briefly. I came here with a lot of emotion around Supervisor Kirk's resolution. Thank you for changing it. So many folks have gone before me and stated very eloquently why we should not personalize this. I'm a Vietnam vet. As such, I have the unfortunate memory of losing a lot of guys, seeing a lot of needless death, and if you will, assassinations. I'd like to keep in mind of William Golding's, he's a prominent philosopher, thoughts on thinking. There's three kinds of thinking. There's the type of person who says, man, that's all screwed up, and walks away. The second type of thinker is the person who says, you know, there's some bad stuff going on here. Somebody needs to fix it. And then the third type of thinker is the individual who says, wow, this is messed up. I need to see what I can do to make it right. That's your job. You guys have a very tough job and to a degree thankless. Thank you, though, Supervisor Kirk, for changing. What I would suggest in your consideration is removing line item 2. And let's keep names out of it. We've mentioned a couple of folks who were assassinated recently in government. So yes, there's some really good ideas in your resolution of making this, if you do, a remembrance of free speech, Public Remembrance Day. And it kind of dovetails with the Indigenous Day and some of the other celebrations that we have for fallen patriots. So thank you, gentlemen. I appreciate your time.
Thank you. All right, do we have any additional public comment? All right, seeing none, we will close public comment and bring it back to the board. Supervisor Griefer?
Thank you. And thank you everyone who got up and spoke. I was taking notes. I do want to apologize for Prop 50. And what I mean by that is I know that was brought up a couple times, and it was because we were told at the very last minute, because of where our election downstairs is, why I couldn't bring it. So it's not that I pulled it because I wanted to hide it from you or anything. I just couldn't violate the legal law of that. So that was off of our county council. So I that was just bad timing on that one. Had we done it the meeting before, we would have still had that discussion, but we just couldn't do it that day. So I apologize for that. As far as your phrasing, gut and switch,
Gut and amend.
gut and mend. Thank you. That's never the intent, and I appreciate Supervisor Campbell's position on how it looks, but this is part of the process, right? This process is to bring something forward, and I can't talk to my coworkers. I can't bring things to them without violating the rules. So all I can do is listen to the constituents of my district and the other people that I speak to on both in favor and against certain things, and bring forward what I feel that's what the majority of my constituents wish to hear. And I have no issues with, like I said, tabling it. We could have tabled it right off the bat and then no one would have got to speak, but I don't think that's in the right interest either. I think it's important to people who come to this meeting that wish to say something to say it. And then if we do table this item, which I have, again, no problem with, it's all on recording. I can go back, we can listen to it, and we can encourage these conversations. And that's really what I just want to end with, is the whole point behind all of this wasn't to recognize one person or another. It was just a person's name that was attached to this. Hold on. To attach to this, and we moved forward. If we wish to have open discussions, as Supervisor Kirk eloquently stated, and having a free speech and a public service remembrance day, that's fine too. The whole goal is to bring people together, right? We don't have to always agree on everything. And again, this isn't about me. This is me bringing something forward that I was asked to by my constituents, more than not, that were in favor of something like this. And maybe we targeted the wrong person, meaning the wrong name was on there. Maybe we just take the name out. I have no problem with that either. So this is all about bringing people together, trying to have those conversations, and moving forward as a group. So this isn't a partisan thing. I know you're going to laugh or giggle or whatever. That's fine. But had this been somebody that was on the other side of the debate, whatever position it was, and this happened to that person too, I would bring the exact same thing forward, saying that no one deserves to be assassinated for exercising their free speech.
And if I can ask, please, with the audience too, while the board is addressing, I know sometimes it's involuntary, but the best we can, please refrain from side commentary and reactions in that. Please, Supervisor Griefer.
Lastly, being online, I didn't see that comment, so I don't know of what you're referring to. So I apologize. I didn't see the comment so maybe afterwards you can tell me who you are. I don't want to out you in the middle of public. Everybody can tell me.
And
okay. So that's fine. So like I said, I mean, we as a board, you guys can decide as you choose. If this were not to move forward, I think it has accomplished its mission of having open dialogue and building bridges.
Great. And I know we will probably be going towards a motion at some point. I do have comments, but I was hoping to hear from my colleagues first. I saw you tap.
Yeah.
Supervisor Campbell.
Well, I'll just reference a couple things. One thing that you said, Supervisor Griefer, and then one thing Supervisor Kirk said. The way I see this, you had said that this is the process, but the way I see it, this is not the process, or at least it hasn't been before the start of this year. Typically, resolutions go through some kind of vetting process through staff, through interested parties. For example, we had something on the agenda today about school bus safety. That was not brought to this board by an individual supervisor. And I think that moving forward, to use a legal term, moving forward in the context of what's been going on is a fruit of the poisonous tree, because we're starting from a point where there's this very divisive element to it, and then trying to to shape that in such a way where people aren't quite so mad at us. And I don't think that's should be the intent of the board, that we should actually be looking toward speaking to what the community actually wants us to say. Because otherwise you're in a position where, if you don't agree with the context in which this resolution is presented, now it looks like you're voting against the First Amendment, which of course none of us, I don't think, are against the First Amendment. I made a 14-year career out of the or the First Amendment. So that's the one part of this, is that I feel that part of the reason why we're ending up in this situation is that we are not following the process that the board has traditionally followed with these types of resolutions. I think we need to get back to that. And I think it has to come from the board. We can't rely on our staff to police us. They're not going to. That's not their job. We have to police ourselves and not have resolutions that have a little supervisor's name. Sorry, I didn't mean to say little, but have a little
Regular size supervisor.
have a little name next to the resolution with our name on it, because it's our pet project. None of these things should be our pet project. Resolutions should all be a representation of the board, or at least the majority of what the board thinks, vetted through some kind of staff process and through communication with the community. That has to happen first before the resolution comes to the board. Instead, we're doing it completely backward, where we put an item on the agenda that has all of these implications, and then we're trying to gauge what the community says, and so we change it at the last minute. I think that's very much the source of this issue. And then the last thing was Supervisor Kirk. You had said that you wanted to put this behind us, and while I agree, I think that's a very good goal. We had a moment of silence for Charlie Kirk at the Board of Supervisors after he died. The very first meeting after he died, we had a moment of silence. The next meeting after that, we had a large group of people that were his supporters come and spoke a public comment, some very passionately. And so now we have another element. I mean, if your interest is putting this behind us and getting the dialogue started, it seems like we have a lot of false starts. And so that's why it's a little hard to swallow that we're condemning violence and trying to start the dialogue when we keep bringing up the elements that we know are divisive. We had opportunities in the past to condemn violence that we didn't take as a board. And so that's why a lot of this, to me, it rings a little bit hollow. And I know that you believe deeply in what you believe in, and that you have a lot of sincerity. And I hope that that's where this is coming from. But it is very difficult for me to see the sincerity when I know the process that's brought us to where we are today. So that's my view on the process that we've had, completely irrespective of what we're actually talking about of the item. So I would be in favor, like Supervisor Griefer, of putting this off, having it go to staff. I would be able to have some feedback on it. We've heard a lot of feedback from the community on what it should say. I think that's a better process than creating it out of whole cloth here in a board meeting, So.
Let's see, in my comments on this, first I want to say too, where we have items that come up and we may expect a disagreement, I'm going to throw out, I am always happy to sit down with a colleague, if you don't have another member of the board, and try to find something that is a compromise or gets to yes. I've always tried to live that. I try never to turn anybody down on that opportunity. To me, one of the things that comes up is the discipline of this job. As mentioned by a number of the speakers, we are not simply elected to express our own opinions, but we are expressing opinions on behalf of a lot of people, including those who have not voted for us, who may not be in support of us, or holding our opinions on things that we may care deeply about, but are not representative. And I did want to highlight one perfect example that, not as a supervisor, but as a citizen, I was a speaker at one of the No Kings events. In some areas, they have adopted resolutions for that. I don't think that would be appropriate. That, to me, is a political event. It would be a divisive action. It is in no way reflective of whether I support that or not, or are participating in it. But I would not do that because I know there are members of our community that do not like it, do not understand it, would not be in support of that. it's a discipline thing. I would have people that would reach out to me saying, don't you care about this? You should put it there. And that's what I would have to explain to them. And sometimes being in this job is giving a lot of disappointing answers, but there's a reason. So it's respect and I think modeling working together as a board, and not putting opportunities like this that will be very to the head. So I want to suggest that I agree it should be, I think, tabled. I think it should come back. I think it either needs to include all major events within some time period. I heard the pandemic, that's 5 years, that's a reasonable time period. Or it should not include any specific event, because I think that is in either way fair. I was listing some out, including, for example, the fire to Governor Shapiro's house. The Hortmans are in here, but Speaker Pelosi in 2022, while I was on this board, had a wielding a hammer go into her house and beat her husband near to death. Gabby Giffords in 2011, just when I was starting college, was shot in the head. Governor Whitmer had a plot to kidnap. 43 vehicles were rammed into George Floyd protests with malice, and 39 were convicted. 23 people in El Paso were shot because of an anti-immigrant activist. SUVs in Riverside, Fairview. All to say, and there are examples of that on the left, we should be referencing not just a few, and I appreciate Supervisor Kirk referencing some of the ones I think that were brought up before, perhaps through that process, as Supervisor Campbell mentioned, to staff. We can provide that inclusion. I would remove, be it resolved 5. I appreciate the temperament. I think it's better spoken in a meeting, Supervisor Kirk, than it would be in a resolution of the board recognizing the comments or intent of an individual supervisor. And the last bit I would say is, whereas, look, I am okay with the fact that it would be including as a prominent political activist that I don't necessarily agree with, but Charlie Kirk in here. However, with the other attacks mentioned, it says politically motivated attack, which I think is appropriate. Whereas 5 specifically says a reason he was. And again, there is a court case going on, say that this does not match what the reports I've seen on it, that it was more closer to what Supervisor Campbell mentioned, which is as a disturbed individual, that was a politically motivated attack on a maybe specific grounds, but also that's not been proven. So I would recommend that be switched to reflect what it was with President Trump, Speaker Hortman, and the Hoffmans, which is a politically motivated attack, keeping it to the facts that are known, not outspoken defense of free speech and civic participation. I don't think it's accurate to say that we can confirm that was why he was assassinated when that hasn't concluded within a court case, and there's all kinds of motivations that could have been in there. I'd say political, absolutely. That, no. So with that, I think unless Supervisor Kirk I didn't see a hand up, would be looking for a motion, but Supervisor Kirk?
All right. Try and wrap this up. I think something I've learned in marriage counseling is you have to sit there and listen and not be so defensive. And I sit here and I hear some of the same logic that I think I've tried to apply in the past regarding like the LGBTQ hate resolution when I pled, can we not put something on the docket until the investigation is complete? And so I hear a lot of the same complaints directed at me. We're doing that. We're both groups, Ryan. We're doing this. We're pointing the finger, and that's okay. We're working it out. We're talking about it. If we want to have future resolutions fleshed out with employees or polar opposites, I'm fine with that. Let me back up a little bit because I'm just winging this. As far as those of you who showed up today for the resolution that Griefer put forth, it's a messy process. I was digesting it and had some conversations. I've literally rewrote my thing probably 10 times, and I met with somebody. It's okay if I call him a liberal, because if you go back and watch the board meeting, you guys, you called yourselves liberals talking to liberals. I mean, like, let's stop cutting each other down with what we're thinking we're trying to say. The point is, I met with somebody who leans liberal, and they bent my mind a little bit, so I rewrote it again. So it's a messy process. It is what it is. This is where I'm arriving at, all right? Some people think that I'm going through some growth and change because of whatever reason. I'm telling you, I just want you to know it's because of Corinthians chapter 3 and chapter 4. That is why I'm doing what I'm doing, okay? Go back and read those 2 chapters. You don't have to believe in God to believe any of it, but it is challenging me. So I don't care if I lose the argument of Charlie Kirk or not. The source of what I'm trying to get at is that things are getting bad too quick. And point number 5, if we don't get out and start having conversations with each other, we're gonna lose it. Our kids don't even know how to argue anymore because it's all social media. They're not going out and getting in school fights and, you know, playing in the dirt. It's all social media. It's all memes. It's all faceless. So the point of this for me is I could care less if it's Charlie Kirk's name or if it's Melissa Hoffman or Melissa Ortman, whatever the individual it is. I want us to be able to come together more. I'm going to work on it more. I'm going to continue to it. I still want to challenge anybody in the room. I'll even call city council member who we are, believe me, we are beyond polar opposites. But let's have a conversation about context and let's learn how to communicate. That is the heart of what I'm going for here. So yes, let's table it. Yes, I don't think it's appropriate to say we're not going to do anything. We've spent way too much time, way too much energy with the public, with myself, with Steve, with our board. Let's table this. Let's bring it back to something we can all agree on. And the source of it is free speech, not being intimidated, and coming together and figuring out our differences. I don't care about California, the nation. We have to do it here in Tuolumne County. So let's bring something forward. And yes, to the 5 of us up here, for however long we are elected and we are serving together, we've had some back and forth with some resolutions. Let's commit from this day forward that if we're getting pressured from a community to bring forth something, because that's what happened to you guys. You were getting pressured to bring something before the board. That's what you told me regarding the LGBTQ. That's fine. We get pressure. Steve got pressure from folks on his side of the aisle to bring something forward. We have these pressures. So let's commit that we can reach across the aisle, figure out a way that is a win for both of us, for all of us, for the community. I'm done with trying to win the argument when it comes to what name is going to prevail. The soul of what needs to prevail is that we need to teach our kids that it's not okay to murder people for their free speech. And it's not okay to bully people online and to point the finger and to not be willing to go have that adult conversation. The rule in my household now is if you can't have a conversation face to face with that person, you don't get to comment to that person. It's that simple. So let's table it. Let's bring something back immediately at the next board meeting that captures the spirit, I think, of what's going on here and in this room. And yes, Supervisor Campbell, let's put it behind us. And next time something like this comes up, I think we have a better path forward as far as how to agree to disagree and bring something forward that we can all capture the spirit of what's going on.
So if that is, it sounds like we would have a motion to table specifically to bring this back at the next meeting, whether that would be with us informing staff who could do the rewrite, or whether 2 board members would like to have an ad hoc meeting to basically bring back a joint rewrite. How would the authors like to proceed?
Yeah, I'll work with Supervisor Campbell.
Is that fine? Okay. So with that, sounds like motion to table, bring back next meeting, and a meeting between Supervisor Campbell and Supervisor Kirk to address that. I don't think, do we need a vote on that? I don't think so. Sounds like we have consensus. Tabling's a little weird.
As long as you've taken action, to take action, the government code requires that you voice assent as a group. So motion and would be appropriate to take that action.
Those were all words, and I did not quite.
I think he said yeah.
He said yes. Thank you.
Expensive language.
Okay.
So, Chair,
Yes.
I'll move to table this item and
Just got
establish
woke up here for a while.
an ad hoc committee, myself and Supervisor Kirk, to review the language and bring it back. By the next meeting,
Oh, good.
Oh my God, my phone is listening to what I'm saying.
Thanks, Siri.
Yeah, that was weird. I always like to check with the CAO to make sure, is there space on the next agenda for?
I think we'll be good.
Okay, so, and then bring that back
All
to
right.
the next agenda.
So we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All yours.
Rochambeau.
Speak.
Okay, we have a first on that motion by Supervisor Campbell. We have a second by Supervisor Griefer. Again, I believe bringing it back next meeting, tabled ad hoc committee to bring back a recommended draft. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed? Abstaining? Okay, passes unanimously. We'll look to see that come back. It is, and I want to say really quick to the audience too. I know, and I try to make a point of this. I know we're trying to be a stickler to hold back the applause, the boos, or anything like that. I want to thank you for us being able to have that conversation and for us having the space to safely hear you and for everybody being able to present. I know often you may be sitting there saying, oh, I really want to say something right now. To hold that back and to be able to allow this to function, I just appreciate that. Thank you to all of you. It is 12:09. We will adjourn to lunch. We do have one more item, which is, well, it may make sense to just do item 14 quickly. And then we will finish with our basically closed session and appointments, correct? That way we don't have to reconvene.
14 and 15.
Yeah, 14 and 15.
Oh, and 15. Okay, if the board's fine, let's just power through maybe to 12:30 or however long it takes these. Okay, clerk can read item number 14.
Item number 14, consideration of waiving the reading of and adopting an urgency ordinance pursuant to Government Code Section 25123D, establishing requirements for removal of fire damage debris from private property following the TCU September Lightning Complex fire, 4/5 vote required.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Or good afternoon.
Yes, good afternoon. Dory Beats, Swampy County Office of Emergency Services. You undoubtedly read the memo and also the urgency order. I just wanted to give a brief update. Obviously, we are in the beginning stages of phase 2 for debris removal of the homes and structures that were destroyed as a result of the TCU September Lightning Complex and specifically the 6.5 fire in Chinese Camp. This is a requirement that we adopt this urgency order. We worked with Cal OES Debris Management Team and County Council's office to ensure that this urgency order met all of the requirements, both from the state and for us. It is modeled after the urgency order that the Board of Supervisors approved back in 2021 for the Washington fire. So it is very similar to the language in that, and it is required for us to get to this next phase for the phase 2 debris removal that we are about to embark on. Happy to answer any questions.
All right, thank you, Dory. Questions from the board? I don't think we have any questions. Is there any public comment on this item? Seeing no public comments, I'll bring it back. You're wanting a motion to approve this. I'll see, is there any other discussion or look for a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve the emergency order.
Okay, I have a motion by Supervisor Holland.
Second.
Second by Supervisor Griefer. I'll call for the question. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Oh, sorry. So vote is 4 yes, 0 no, and 1 absent.
Thank you.
All right, so we'll move on to other business, which is item 15. I'll look to the board clerk to read item 15 for us, please.
Item number 15, discussion and direction regarding potential revision of the County of Tuolumne seal for the 250th anniversary of the United States of America and after.
All right, thank you, Heather. Supervisor Griefer.
Yeah, I'll just run real quick.
Okay.
Kind of one of the discussions that we've been talking about. When I say we, kind of the royal we, I know Supervisor Campbell and I have spoken about some identity branding for the county. That kind of started with you know, the events you go to, you know, see everybody's got a different, you know, their county seal or their logo or their whatever, all the swag and stuff. So it kind of got me thinking about how can we, as we have now celebrated the 175th anniversary, or we are currently celebrating the 175th anniversary of our county, we are rolling into the 250th anniversary of our country. So there was, coincidentally, there was another great mind at work with this as well. And so I'm going to kick it over to Liz with some of her ideas. There we go.
Here we go. Let's do this one more time. All right. Okay, so just really briefly, we actually sort of collaborated on the memo that Supervisor Griefer submitted for your board's agenda. So this is the current Tuolumne County seal. Your board, I'm sure, is very familiar with this. We're trying to recall back for how old this is, but it's been around for quite a while. And so, as you know, for the 175th anniversary of Tuolumne County, and this was a large not just the county, but it was our tribes, Visit Tuolumne led the effort with hiring a graphic designer to put this together, but it was the Chambers of Commerce. It was a whole host of folks that collaborated on developing this design specific for 2025 and the 175th anniversary. So one of the things that Supervisor Griefer and staff at large is discussing is perhaps we could modify this seal for next year. The intent with this seal, I should say, was that it be used for this year specifically, is the 175th. And so perhaps we could modify this seal for next year, which is the 250th anniversary of the country. So somehow, update the dates a little bit, maybe, but keep everything else the same, perhaps. Another option, so a couple options. Either you can modify this if you want to do anything at all for the 250th anniversary of the country. And then looking toward the future. So kind of simultaneously, this seal is pretty busy. And there has been some negative feedback over the years that we've received about this, and just the busyness of it makes it challenging. And so this is something actually that we had developed for a option for a permanent seal moving forward, so separate from the 250th anniversary of the country, if your board wants to go down that route. This is something, and these are two options here that we had developed that could perhaps be something that your board could approve or request revisions to for a permanent seal replacing this one. And there's kind of the two options there. The one more to the right includes the acorns representing the Tuolumne Band of Miwok Indians, the feather representing the Chicken Ranch Band of Miwok Indians, and then there's the gold nugget there, just kind of our heritage, or the top one is a bit more streamlined. The last option is that either for the 250th anniversary of the country, or I suppose for a permanent seal, you could put out a contest for the community to submit ideas and then bring that back for board decision. So just looking for some direction, some guidance, your thoughts.
What she said.
Great. Supervisor Campbell?
Yeah, Supervisor Griefer and I, he brought this up as an idea of something that he was thinking about, and I've had time to think about it, and I really think this is a great idea, and I really appreciate you bringing this up. It always kind of bothered me with the old seal that there's no representation of either of our tribes in it. There's like somebody skiing, and there's the busyness doesn't bother me so much as that apart from timber being represented there's nothing really that is about Tuolumne County. And if you look at the new design, I'm assuming the two rivers are Tuolumne and Stanislaus.
Mm-hmm.
Is there, anyway, what I was going to say is I'd like stories to go with every piece of it. So whether we make it up after the fact or what, but like, what are each of the three mountains? What do the trees represent? The acorns, pretty obvious. And then the feather, I think those are really good representations of our two tribal partners. All that stuff. I like the seal that has been kind of developed for the 75th anniversary. I think it's not a bad idea I like it. I don't know if I'm going to offend anybody. I like it better than the old one. And I think that there was already a pretty lengthy and involved process to design this seal. I'm not opposed to having like a contest if that's what the board would do, but I think we do have a pretty good seal right before us. So anyway, all that to say, I like the new seal. I like the idea of updating it. I think it's long overdue. We'll have to get a new carpet made. So so there used to be a carpet hanging on the wall
Where is
behind
that?
us. It's in the archives. It's actually in a prominent spot at the archives. So anybody who misses the carpet, they can go see it
On the floor at the entrance.
No, it's hanging on a wall, I think. At least it was the last time I was in there. But you know, we have to renew ourselves, and you're right, Supervisor Griefer. I look at other counties, and their seals tend to be more of one idea instead of just trying to throw a bunch of stuff you might think of in the county into the seal. It's more of like a confined idea, and to me, that's what this is. So I like the idea. I'm supportive. I think it's great.
I was just gonna say, if you didn't
Sure,
know
sir.
what that was, that was District 3 right there. It's the mountains and the tree. I mean, we could just put District 3 right above it.
I mean,
Well, it's
I mean,
again,
North-
well, it's kind of funny you mentioned.
Stanislaus River goes through District 2.
No.
You don't
Well,
have oak
it-
trees up
And we
there.
got mountains.
It's kind of funny that you mentioned that, because one of the things that Supervisor Campbell and I had been talking about, and the gentleman at the last meeting presented us challenge coins from the veterans. And one of the things that we were thinking of doing is having the seal on the front, and then each district having its own challenge coin, each supervisor having their own challenge coin. So the whole thing is that we want to, as he said a moment ago, is kind of rebrand us. You know, this is a rebuild year. If you use the sports analogy, we're going into a new year. We want to have a new seal. We want to have our pride. We want people to say, oh, it's, you know, they want to come here, and it's just a whole new rebranding of our county and our industry as, you know, a good governmental, the industry being government, that we want to make sure that people feel that it's nice and simple, and you know, things like that. So that's kind of, now if we throw half to them on there, you know, then it's District 4. So we're good.
I like it. I mean, one cool thing you could do, Sonora Peak is on top of 108. You could almost get like a shadow of what Sonora Peak and Levitt Peak look like to make those the mountains, if you wanted to have like something cool to add to it. But I'm not gonna poo-poo your work. This is great.
Well, as the marketing
Just
people
thought.
say, KISS, right? Keep it simple. Steve.
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you.
Well, that's kind of what I mean. We could go into depth on this. I was
Okay.
thinking the tallest one would be Tower Peak, because that's the tallest in the Central Sierra, right? I think.
I think
tallest
Levitt
peak.
Peak is.
Kind of
it Levitt?
cool to have Table Mountain.
The tower actually looks like a tower. I've been on top of it when I was.
Yeah, me too.
All right,
when I
man,
was-
I've been up
bring
there
it home.
in
They're gonna go
January.
down this rabbit hole.
Well, so as we're going around it, I think we kind of have the decision of, one, do we want to change it? I'm hearing consensus. Two would be whether we would like to adopt this or similar, or have this out to a competition. And then I think the third would be, if we're adopting this or a competition, what are kind of the parameters of any suggestions or edits? For me, I am 100% in agreement. We should change it. I think the last person that drew that logo had never seen a tree in their life. Also, I was not a fan of the rug, so I'm very happy. But it's kind of an empty spot now. We should have something. And I know that over the last about 2 years, I've had conversations with SPI about them being interested in maybe supporting, or other county partners or Eagle Scouts, some type of carved, you see this at other counties, carved type wood thing that floats behind the dais there, and it's kind of auspicious. I prefer a competition. I do like this. I think it can use refinement. It is a little bit too simple and clip arty for, I think, a long-standing county, though I think the elements are really good. That may be just in the weeds a bit, but I think we could have some design improvements. One thing that I've seen more recently in a lot of my travels has been with Modesto. And on their seal at the county or at the city has been water, wealth, contentment, health. And it is something that is very fundamentally ingrained. We've had issues before of what are the mission, vision, values of the county, and folks not remembering. So the idea of having, and I just said 4 here, but heritage, harmony, resilience, renewal seemed to be 4 things that defined Tuolumne County for me, that seemed to be something easy to remember that we could then use in future branding things as people enter our county. And the last bit is just in the design here, I think it would be important to have some of the areas that are not just the more alpine areas, I was half joking, but not really. I do appreciate and agree having our tribal partners represented in here. I think Table Mountain being represented in here would be iconic to multiple districts as well. And I don't want to have every single thing that everybody does in every activity in the world, but I do like the idea that there are people and communities here. Having one that purely represents nature without any humanity kind of within it is always to me a little bit hollow. So I think geography, people, industry, and spirit, something that reflects all four of those would be the perfect entry into a competition.
All right, my turn. Oh,
Supervisor Holland?
I like the bottom right one. I think we should just roll with it. It's simple. I look at our logo at RCRC when I'm there, and I can't figure out what it says. When I sit there and look at them compared to all the rest of the counties, because there's so much going on with it. It just looks like a mess. And I'm not sure what the sailboat's all about, because I didn't think we're a big sailing community, but maybe we used to be.
Yeah,
Pinecrest, but
I
it's
was
okay.
going to mention that. Yeah.
And the skier is 200 feet tall, and the train is about the size of this chair.
So I think we've done work on this. We've got a lot of community involvement. I like the bottom right one. If moving forward from 2027 forward, I think that's a good thing. I mean, we got plenty of time if Jaron wants to make something different and bring it back. But and then I think for 250, we just slap an American flag on it. Maybe put 250 on the flag or something, because we're only going to do it for 1 year or something like that, right? Or something like that, just to kind of bring the America theme into it. But I like that bottom right one moving forward.
All right, so polling on that sounds like unanimous to change it. I don't know if there's any other support on, public comment, competition, or it sounded like there was 4 for adopting one of these as is.
That's what I was gonna say. After public comment, my recommendation would be, let's have public comment and then I'll give you my 2 cents. And I'm in the same boat as you regarding that competition.
Yeah, we can do that at the sign with the board. We'll open this up for any public comment. Members of the public will have 3 minutes to be able to speak and address the board on this item. Please come forward. Welcome back.
Thank you. I am here to disagree with all of you. I like the old seal. I think it has history. It is a bit busy, but it reflects our industry, our recreation. There's a skier up on the hill. Oh, I like it. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have additional public comment?
I'm no visual artist. I also enjoyed that old one because you could look at all that busy stuff and like daydream for about hours about all the little pieces of it. I would agree it's not very aesthetic. And I favor the idea of opening up to a competition so that, I love including our Native American brethren, sisters. But I also think that just the symbology without the people is problematic. And I think something else might be a little bit more, not look so what I think is generic. That's just what I think.
Thank you. Oh, and we can only have 1 public comment per item. Sorry.
Whispering the sergeant. Yeah.
And there's not a car in it. I know that, right?
Dave Vasquez, Sheriff. I love the idea of incorporating the American flag somehow. Maybe even the California bear, and maybe using just even the colors with stars, but something that represents. I mean, I get it's the county seal, but I look at a lot of seals, and a lot of them have the American flag incorporated in there, and just something to reflect on that unifies us in pursuing liberty and this great life is a huge part of the seal. So for your consideration, thank you.
Great, thank you. Welcome back.
Thank you. Well, branding was my business. And it drives me crazy when I go on the internet and there's this. So I agree with you that the old logo had much too much in it. And the value of open space and simplicity and having, like you said, the theme. I think that's really important. I don't know how you incorporate it necessarily in that. And a question, is Yosemite Park and Half Dome in Mariposa County or Tuolumne? I don't know, but those mountains to me don't necessarily represent Tuolumne County. And iconic Yosemite Park is both counties. And so something maybe perhaps representing the outdoors and Yosemite being that, which everybody recognizes. You might want to consider that.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any additional public comment on this? Going once, going twice. All right, closing public comment, bringing it back to the board. Supervisor Griefer?
Thank you. So the answer to your question is yes, sorta. So District 4 actually goes to into the valley of Yosemite. Mariposa has the other side, and it's Yolo that comes in the other.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so the park is actually shared by 3 different counties, but obviously we're the best county, so we're going to steal the if you go through Mariposa, you'll see that the gateway to Yosemite, which is a lie, we're the gateway, to Yosemite. So
That'd be some words to put on it. The gateway to Yosemite.
Yeah, not
It's Merced and it's trademarked. We can't use gateway.
Yeah, Merced has that trademarked.
Doesn't make any sense.
Like
But we
15
can do
that
the
use
front porch.
Yeah. With that being said, how about we do this? My recommendation is let Liz and I work on kind of version 2 of the bottom right one with the acorns and the feather, and we'll bring that back next meeting within the next meeting for the 250th. And then why don't you and I work on coming up with a contest that we can roll out all of 2026 so we can have it announced in 2027.
Okay, so the amended version, if I'm understanding correct, would be kind of another temporary one for the semi-sesquicentennial
Yeah, good luck. I don't know.
staff.
So
Liz, is that the correct? And no, I like that.
Yeah, so hypothetically, we take what we have here. So I was thinking real quickly with the background where it's black, we can overlay the American flag. So it's an American flag going from the top all the way down where it says Tuolumne County. And then it would say 250th anniversary. We would have the anniversary banner underneath it, and that'll be all for next year. And then for 2027, you and I, for the year of 2026, you and I come up with the contest. And then, because I agree, that was actually my original idea, was having a contest. I just don't think we have enough time to do it and fairly and represent. So you and I can kind of sit down. I like your idea of the 4 words that you referenced there. So that's my suggestion. My suggestion is we keep what we got. We change it to 250th anniversary for next year with the 250th anniversary. Liz and I will come up with a more up to date for the next meeting. So we'll be ready to go for 250. And then you and I will work on coming up with the contest through 2026, so we can make our big announcement in 2027. Does that work?
I would support that. I think it's a great idea, and we'll just kind of pull together something then for, I think, board consideration.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I want to check in with the colleagues too. How does everybody feel on something like that? Or did we want to have an alternative?
I think that's a great idea. Oh, sorry. You want to go? I think Supervisor Cooper has a great idea.
All right.
One thing, there's a story I always like to say in these kind of instances, that if you try to build a horse by committee, you end up with a camel. So, because somebody says, oh, the horse should have a longer neck, it should be able to store water, oh, it should have long flat legs, and then you end up with something different than what you start out with. So with any kind of art, you want to have a vision of the feeling it's supposed to invoke, and then just stick with that, because if we start adding things, it ends up looking the way it used to. And then the other piece of information I'd like to have, and it's too bad Sharon Maravich, she was here earlier, I'm sure she would know, when was our last seal redesigned? Like how far back does our old seal go? Because I honestly don't know. I don't know how old our
I believe in 1926 it was jotted on the back of a napkin.
Yeah.
Brought to the county building.
Shouldn't it have whiskey stains on it then? Yeah, I would just like to know how the old thing is, and then the rest I think is great.
Okay, not seeing any opposition to that. I think we would be moving forward. Let me make sure, discussion and direction. Liz, do we have direction and everything that you need with that? Wonderful. All right, and Supervisor Griefer, thank you for bringing this one forward and for the opportunity to talk about it. I believe we're going to be adjourning for lunch for our admin staff and folks. It'll be probably a brief lunch as we try and catch our 1 p.m. Can the clerk read, I believe what we have left is our 1 p.m. appointment 1 and 2 and item 17. Is that correct? Or however, yeah.
Item 17, closed session conference with real property negotiators, price and terms, Authority Government Code Section 54956.8, negotiators Roger Root, interim county administrator, related to property located at 14448 Tulloch Road, Jamestown, California. 1 p.m. Appointment number 1, closed session public employee appointment, Authority Government Code Section 54957B1, title County Administrative Officer. 1 p.m. Appointment number 2, closed session conference with labor negotiators, Authority Government Code Section 54957.6, agency designated representatives Karen McGettigan, Human Resources Director, and Christopher Schmidt, Acting County Counsel, unrepresented employee, County Administrative Officer.
Okay, great. And for any of these, do we expect a report out, council?
Mr. Chairman, we are not anticipating any report out, so the board may adjourn following closed session if it chooses.
Okay, great. And do we wish to have a 30-minute lunch and then do close? Okay, so we will reconvene in closed session in the law library at, let's say, circa 1 o'clock and adjourn the public portion of the board meeting. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Oh,
and
except we have public comment on our closed session items. I know that's the one that I forget to. I'm so focused on the do we have a report out? Yes.
And Chair, since it's not fully a half an hour, could we say we reconvene at like 1:10 or 1:15 or something like that?
And we'll open up public comment on those items. Again, that is closed session item number 17, and then our 1 p.m. and 1 and 2 appointments. Can open for any public comment. Going once, going twice. All right, seeing none, public comment is closed. We'll adjourn and reconvene in the law library at 1:10 p.m.